Welcome to Fat Man Beyond. I'm Kevin Smith.
I am Mark Bernard.
Hey!
Oh!
Fuck, we're all here, ladies and gentlemen. What a fucking amazing moment to be here when we just got the worst fucking news in the world dropped on us. We'll get to that in a minute. For right now, though, we are at Scum and Villainy, the Scum and Villainy Cantina on Hollywood Boulevard in Hollywood, California. Put your hands together so the folks watching at home know you're real.
Oh, man alive.
Before we do anything, I'll be honest with you. I must love this show because coming here to do this show is about the only thing that could have torn me away from watching The Boys. Fuck, is that good? Oh, my God.
I've been telling you like 2 weeks in a row. I was like, you got to watch the fucking Boys.
I think I got my wife on the hook, man, because I was watching. She's like, what is this? And I was like, it's a superhero thing. And she's going, but they're hurting each other. I'm like, yeah, I thought you might like it. It's wonderfully fucking made. Kripke did a great job fucking writing it, adapting it. The first episode was directed by a guy named Dan Trachtenberg.
Mm-hmm.
He had done the
10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yes, the Cloverfield movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I know him as the guy that got me into podcasting. A long fucking time ago when we were doing like Clerks 2. Him and a partner of his, they had a podcast called Geek Drome and found me on the internet, probably from our message board because this was pre-Twitter, and said, hey, do you want to do a podcast? And I was like, oh my God, this is, I've heard this word, you know, because Scott Mosier came in and was like, hey man, you want to fucking listen to the Ricky Gervais podcast? And I was like, what is that? And he goes, a podcast is kind of like a commentary track for a movie, but there's no fucking movie. And I was like, well, we do that all the time, but with a movie. We should make one of these podcasts, you know? And so we never pursued it. I sat down with Dan and his partners. What is it?
Josh Campbell.
Thank you, Josh Campbell. And they recorded an episode of Geek Drone with me. And you got to see it before you can be it, right? So what I did was see two kids, and they were fucking pups. They were real kids and shit. Come in with like their little recording device, set up 3 mics and shit, and we just started talking. And it was so fucking free. And I was just like, so what? We can talk about anything? I don't have to worry about cursing. Like, you do whatever you want. And I was like, I fucking love this, you know? So I fell in love with it because of that. And then, you know, said Mosier, I was like, we should record that podcast thing. And then we started Smodcast because I saw somebody do it and how easy it was. I just had to go get the little recording device. It was an M-Tech in the beginning. So I'm watching The Boys and like fucking loving them. Shit, this shit's shot like a goddamn movie. It looks fantastic. Really fucking visually sumptuous, composed incredibly well, acting great across the boards. And at the end, they put up the credit. And I was like, that's the motherfucker who taught me how to podcast, man. I was like, and I've done many podcasts. And he went on to have a real career. Maybe that was the plan all along, man. He's like, here, shiny light podcast. Then he went over and took a fucking movie career away and shit. Fuck, he's talented. I love the first episode. Second episode is a wonder. I'm on 4 right now. Fucking, oh my God. So, and it's gotten to the place where Jennifer, at one point, she was like, hey, which is her version of let's fuck in the afternoon. But I was like, This motherfucker just took down a plane. Fuck off. Spoilers. Fucking loving it. It's great.
It's so good.
Grade A programming. If you haven't seen it yet, fucking, it's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, and the guy who fucking plays, I will ride hard for
Homelander. Who is this fucking guy?
Anthony
He's like
Starr.
he's like the dark Chris Evans, man. Or really the dark Chris Pine. He's more piney than anything else. Yeah.
Like the frosted tips and everything.
Very much so.
Oh, like on a dime, he goes from like, hey guys, everything's gonna be fine. They're all gonna die now.
Yeah. Yeah, he's wonderful. I'm telling you, there's not a weak link in the cast. Carl Urban is great. Fucking Jack Quaid's great. Who's the girl who plays Star?
Erin Moriarty, I think her name is.
Fantastic.
I've
Who
never
is
seen
she?
her before.
Oh my God, so good.
And
Fucking Elizabeth Shue. Thank you, man. Because I was sitting there watching it going, Jesus fucking Christ, man. She like rocks in this. I'm hoping to God she joins Karate Kid, Cobra Kai next season. Because spoilers at the end of season 2. Spoilers. If you haven't seen season 2, cover your fucking ears. I'm going to give you 5 seconds. Fuck it, 3. Fuck it. We're talking about it now. Johnny threw his fucking phone, and then fucking a notice came up where he got a text from Allie, who was played by Elizabeth Shue in the movies. So I was like, what the fuck? Ran to my wife. I was like, Allie's coming back. She didn't know what the fuck I was talking about and shit, but I was so excited. Saw her on this show. I was like, she don't need it, man. Like, she's fucking running shit in this show. She's fantastic. Excellent casting choice. Thank you for shouting her out. Yeah, man, quality across the boards. I ain't getting any money in this. Some people accuse me of fucking...
Oh, all the time.
All the time. They're like, you're in the bag for this shit. I am, in as much as, like, I'm a fucking fan and I like well-made shit. You never hear about the shit I don't like. You'll hear about the shit I like all the live long day. Speaking of which, I guess I hadn't addressed it because I saw a bunch of tweets going like, man, you only talk about the shit you like and you didn't say shit about Shazam. I loved Shazam.
Oh, we talked about it.
You
for
talked
a while.
about it. But
You were there, though.
I thought I fucking talked.
Yeah.
Fuck you. I talked about Shazam. God damn it, man. I do everything the internet says. I thought I did. I was like, how did I get away with that? It was when I went to England.
I shat on a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit, as is my want. But you were like, I fucking loved it.
Oh, my God.
As is your want.
It was so wonderful. It was everything I wanted it to be. And fucking Adam Brody showed up in it. And I'm a big Adam Brody fan. So, yeah, for the fucking people that made me think I didn't talk about it, which is easy to do because I'm always baked. I did talk about it. Fuck you. I loved Shazam. It was great. But anyway, yeah, I ain't get paid for any of this shit. I just fucking love it. And I love the boys. They're doing a great fucking job. The Lord's work. So if you haven't seen it, check it out.
Yeah, wait till the end. You're going to love the fucking end.
Did you make it all the way through?
Oh, yeah.
I honestly, when this is done, I'm going right the fuck back. I'm not going to sleep tonight. Fuck sleep, man. I'm just going to sit there, fucking chain smoke caviars and watch that fucking shit. Okay.
So what have you been up to?
What would I have been up to?
How was your week, dear?
You know, some wonderful things happen. And thank God we have that to talk about. Otherwise, we'd be fucking crying right now about fucking Sony. Me and Mark over the weekend announced that we're working on a fucking show, man. The good folks at Mattel Television and Netflix are bringing back Masters of the Universe as an original anime series. That's the thing we've been talking about or hinting at for weeks on the show. It was so like, remember the one day people start shouting out shit? Not a single person said Masters of the Universe, and I was like, thank fucking God. Somebody said something about it a couple weeks ago, and we were like, I don't know, you know. So really astute people
I want to say like
picked up
last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, we talked about He-Man for some reason. Somebody was like, if you could reboot like He-Man, what would you do? I'm like, I don't know, but put in better hands than ours.
Yes. We deferred.
Like,
we lied, essentially, and whatnot.
To protect the truth, we lie.
Yes, until we were allowed to talk about it. So it's a big, beautiful thing that, you know, we've sat here for many a week and been like, why can't we get any of that fucking Netflix money, man? We finally got some of that fucking Netflix money.
All right, so explain to me, because I'm not even sure that I know this part of it. How did you get the Netflix money? When did they come to you?
I'll be honest with you, this was one of the sweetest fucking arrangements in my professional career. Generally, what happens is people get you on board, and then they're like, all right, now we're going to go out and pitch this thing, and you're an element, so we think it'll go better with you. Because they're like, people know your movies, but what they don't know is I pitch all the time, and people are like, hey, I know your movies. There's the fucking door. So, you know, just being me don't necessarily mean anything and shit like that. So I got a phone call from my agent. He's gone, folks at Mattel want to sit down with you. And I was like, really? Like, fucking, please tell me for Barbie. And they were like, close, He-Man. I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, all right, yeah, fucking, I was like, where is it? And they were like, it's in Santa Monica. I was like, ah, fuck it. And they said, they'll come to your house. I was like, oh, meeting's on. You know, so Rob David, who is our producer and the guy who's really like kept MOTU alive for years, he wrote, for those of us in the world of comic books, he wrote Infinity War for DC and whatnot. He's
Eternia War.
I'm sorry, fucking Infinity War. We didn't write that one, man.
He was like, I would thankfully write Infinity War.
Marcus and McFeely are like, who wrote Infinity War? He wrote it's the Eternity War. Was the Eternity War saga is what it was called. My bad. Thank you. Well caught. He's the guy that's kind of kept MOTU going for like the last 8 years, 10. I think it's been 8 or something like that. So he came over and showed me the books and whatnot. And I was familiar with the comics because I own a comic book store. He was like, where are you on He-Man. I said I never really fucked with it as a toy when I was a kid because my parents were like, we're done with toys. Like, fucking, we bought all that Star Wars shit, and now you're grown up. Like, so no more of this shit. So my friends collected He-Man, but I watched it religiously, so I knew it and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, I can go deep on the mythology. So I said, not obviously as hardcore as DC or Marvel, but I'm well fucking versed and shit. And we talked about it like, Jesus, you are well versed. So we started having this conversation where they were like, we've got a show already, like, at Netflix. Netflix is like, we want to do this. So when they came to me, that's already done. So they're like, look, there's going to be a show, a Masters of the Universe show at Netflix with or without you. So, you know, I was like, can I fucking be in it? You know, and they're like, that's why we're here and shit. So we started having a conversation and they were like, what would you do? And I gave them a story and they were like, we fucking like that, man. We're going to take it back to Netflix and see if they like it. At Netflix, we have this amazing exec, Ted Biaselli, who's just like the biggest MOTU, we call it. Masters of the Universe is a big mouthful, so we call it MOTU. Biggest MOTU fan on the planet. He's the one who's responsible for bringing it to Netflix. He, you know, as he says, he's like, look, everyone's got their thing. He's like, I love Batman, I love Marvel, but like my number one thing was always Masters of the Universe and stuff. So he spearheaded the project and brought it in with Rob. They had a conversation, the show built from there, and then they were like, let's find somebody to do it. They reached out to me. I was like, I'd be into this. Here's what I'd do. Rob took the pitch to Ted. Ted dug it. We went and sat down at fucking Netflix. And I've been to Netflix like many, many times with no fucking luck ever, man. They're always super happy to see me and super fucking polite. I think that's their training across the boards and shit. And you always get, oh my God, I'm a huge fan and shit. And like one time I went in to pitch Mallrats as a series. And so I sat down with people like, oh my God, Mallrats is my religion. I'm a huge fan. And I was like, great, then you're going to love this. And I pitched them and they were like, thank you. And that was it. And I was like, you guys got Zen masks. Fuck, man. You know, and headed out. So I'd go in there all the fucking time and never found any purchase and shit. This was nice walking in knowing that like the thing was in progress. So I just had to impress, you know, in order to get the fucking job. So went in, met with Ted. That was wonderful. He stands apart as an exec, man. He's just so fucking creative, and he wants this to be everything he ever dreamed it could be when he sat there and watched the show and collected everything when he was a fucking kid. So he's deeply fucking invested. So much so when we sat around like breaking story, he joined us. Like, which is, I mean, you work in the world of TV. How rare
that is both weird and usually not welcome.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really want the executives here. Like, let's pitch them when we're ready to do our razzle dazzle. But like, I don't want you in the process. But he was additive and not subtractive. Like, he was, and the biggest fucking cheerleader.
Yes, a huge cheerleader, and like would drop like legit fire ideas where you're like, holy shit, that's fucking tight and shit. And so like he was absolutely still is welcome part of the process. Say something for a while.
I think we talked a little bit about when we first signed on. He's like, where are you at on He-Man, Mark? And I said, I remember it. But I was more of a Thundercats kid than I was a He-Man kid.
Shut the fuck up. We just got jobs, man.
Oh, shit.
We just got some of that Netflix money. And
for a second, that was like, I fought for the South. And these motherfuckers were like, what? You heathen? No, just like, because I was an animation nut, and the animation in Thundercats was a little bit better than the animation in He-Man. And no. And I know that because we bought some cells over the weekend, and those, woohoo, it's glorious and lovely.
They are painted though on acetate. Like I was really impressed by that.
But of the dudes with swords that like grew when you said some words, I was a Lino guy.
You remember that genre at the video store?
There's like 7 or 8 of those.
Horror, fantasy, dudes who grow with swords.
You know, because, you know, for adolescent boys who were just suddenly getting used to things growing when you say the words.
Whew. Oh, my God, you're right. It's like a narrative, like an analogy for puberty or something.
Totally.
Never realized that until now.
Thunder! Thundercats! You okay in there? Oh!
For a second there, me and Mark were working on a kids show, and I think we just lost our gig.
You haven't read my draft yet.
That's right. We're in a world of a cycle where I got to be very careful in terms of what we say. We've been instructed on a bunch of things that we can't say and reveal and stuff like that. But I look at whatever they release and go off of that and stuff. So they have said series.
They have.
So that makes all right. So that's they were even kind of like, we can't talk about how many, we can't talk about when, we can't talk about how big. Like they just want it vague. But in the release, they said
it's a series.
So
more than one.
That means we've got a few writers, and we introduced them at the panel we did. If you haven't watched that episode of Fat Man Beyond, we threw it up on the website.
At PowerCon, which is a lovely convention.
PowerCon is fantastic, man. They've been going for 7 years. It's every comic book show I remember from growing up. Perfect size and stuff. It's not like San Diego Comic-Con sprawling and intimidating.
Hotel.
Yes, and manageable and stuff, and fun and beautiful. God, those cats are passionate. They also Val runs the site He-Man.org, which has for me been an invaluable site. Like I could go there for details constantly, where I'm like, oh, even not only just spellings of fucking names and shit. But also like, ooh, where will this could fit in the story and stuff. They go deep and long in their encyclopedia section. So we've been working on the show for a couple months at this point.
So, yeah.
And we introduced at the thing the entire panel of writers and stuff. Me and Mark are just two of them. We want to bring up the other three right now and chit-chat about it with you all. So please welcome up Eric, Dia, and Tim, man. Come on up, kids. For the uninitiated, Eric, we've had here before, up here behind the bar with us.
He was a fill-in me.
I was the Robin and the Mark.
That's right, man. But Eric, I met on Supergirl. He wrote for Supergirl for how many seasons? 3. What are the rest of your bona fides?
I did another Netflix cartoon, Legend Quest. I did some Justice League cartoons, some of them with this guy. And I did a Justice League animated movie called Justice League versus the Fatal Five that came out a little bit
Fatal
ago.
Five was yours. Tim, you also worked on DC movies as well.
Yeah, Eric and I met doing another Legend Quest show for Netflix, and Justice League Action. I did Reign of the Supermen. That was a movie that came out this year.
Right on.
I got a short movie out right now called Sergeant Rock that's paired with Hush.
It's on top of. That sounds so fucking dirty. It's on Hush. It's on the DVD.
That still sounds dirty.
Yes, it does, right?
Yeah.
I got a bunch of other ones, but I can't talk about them right now.
What does that mean? Yeah, I know what you mean, but explain that to these
I mean
cats.
that I have got like so many NDAs with Warner Brothers that I cannot even confirm to you that Warner Brothers is a working studio.
Warner who?
Old Jack Warner called and said.
So that means you got multiple stuff in the pipeline, which we'll hear about like later on.
I'll tell you
I
about
mean,
it.
you can't
I'll tell
even
you
say.
about it after.
I know about it. I know, but just for these cats, they're like,
You
why are
didn't
they
hear
being
from me
obscure?
about that.
They like them over there, so you can continue to work there. You also they like over there, so you'll continue to work there. I assume.
I hope so.
And you
I've done jack shit.
do it. Well,
So-
you haven't done one of those things, but you came from Magic: The Gathering, which is a Netflix series.
Yeah, I came from Magic the Gathering.
That's a Russo
but
Brothers series.
Sure is.
So yeah, you came
Those
from
guys.
nothing. What the fuck, man?
But I think I'm the only one who hasn't worked with anyone here. But I know this guy because we have the same sort of like chaos scammer energy at Comic-Con.
What now?
Yeah, explain that.
That
Just-
requires explanation.
It means that if you don't get your food for free, you don't deserve to eat.
So you go to
All right.
Comic-Con, you eat for free?
That's familiar.
Absolutely.
You gotta sneak in. That's what we do.
I want to get in on that.
We sneak into all the parties and we dance in. And we dance through the thing. We go, oh, we're supposed to be here, and then somebody lets you in.
It's great. And that's how we met. And that's actually how we met as well. But I just like conned everyone into thinking.
That's how you got a job because you lied for dinner once? This town, man, fuck.
I don't know why I'm here.
What is what did you are you also on stuff that you can't talk about? Have you done stuff you can't like?
I
Tim?
mean, I don't think I can really talk about Magic, and that was the thing. I was on my last day at Magic, and I got an email that was like, sign this NDA because Kevin Smith wants to talk to you about a thing, and I was like, cool, I'll sign the NDA.
She signed the NDA. I was like, tell me about Magic. And she's like, I signed an NDA for that already. I'm like, fuck.
I think we got lucky that that it's a Netflix show.
It is,
because
Teddy-
you're able to talk about it on the panel for this, but otherwise you probably wouldn't be able to say that.
No, I can't tell you that there is a Magic
There is
show.
no Netflix. That is not a working thing. She can't confirm that.
NDAs
Old
galore.
Jack Warner called and said Netflix doesn't exist.
But that was they like Teddy knew you guys' work from you
Teddy
from the
is
Netflix
the exec.
show.
I can confirm Teddy is the exec on Magic the Gathering.
Teddy does all the stuff you like.
I think I can say
It's
I
like a
can't say
gathering of
anything
fucking spies.
It really is.
Listen, I
Teddy,
can't tell you
Teddy
much.
may or may not be the Netflix algorithm. Like that is in charge
Himself.
of everything.
I just came off of working on another Netflix animated series that they haven't announced me, but they announced the show. So I think I can say that I did work on Transformers War for Cybertron.
Whoa.
So that I finished that up and then came to work for you.
So had you met Ted there or you knew Ted from
You
other
were
stuff?
going to ask me like if I met Megatron or something.
Yeah, I was like, do you fucking know
Did you meet
Megatron?
Megatron? No, Ted. I've known Ted for 20 years.
Going way
And let me-
back.
Yeah, like way back. And when you set him up as like the ultimate MOTU fan, he has wanted to make this show that we are making ever since I've known him, and certainly before that, like since he was 12.
Right.
You know, he's wanted to make this show, and so this is a big dream come true for him. So.
For anybody that, and there wasn't a lot. Honestly, the reaction, whenever he announced something, you clench your asshole a little bit because just in case people are like, all right, hold on. But this time around, everyone was like, fucking nice. This makes sense. And what I saw, which was overwhelmingly beautiful, are a bunch of people who react the way I react when I fucking watch like how the Russos handle Marvel material, where I get emotional and I get fucking like ecstatic just knowing they're going to do something, not just the Russos, but Marvel in general. Let's just say Kevin Feige, because I'm like, oh my God, they're going to fucking crack my childhood open again and stuff. Same thing. I've been seeing tweets from people who are like, you don't understand. I used to watch fucking He-Man with my dad. I used to watch He-Man with my sister. Fucking like stories going on about their deep connection to the material. So there's hope. They're not like a series of people going, don't fuck this up. Although that's the undertone of everything. Right on the surface, man, they're just like, we believe in you, Yoga Hosers guy.
They're shaking when they say
There
it.
is a
but
little
they-
wavering in the voice and stuff.
But I mean, these are fans who've been deprived of entertainment for so long. Like of He-Man related entertainment.
Yes. After
We
He-Man
keep
ended, they
we keep
never
tiny
figured out how to
holes in
turn the
their
TV
boxes.
back on and shit.
So the Amish then are the big fans.
Yeah. They had to give it up for Rumspringa. That was it. You get to watch He-Man or you get to join the natural world. He's the guy on board that if anybody, because I saw a few people being like, because my name's attached, I saw a few cats put up tweets that were like, oh, fucking Cringer and Orko are going to sell weed outside a fucking convenience store. They're going to talk about Star Wars and shit like that. As if that's the only thing I've ever done in my career and stuff like that. But I can understand.
I'm just going to be sitting there, I'd fuck.
How many dicks did you
And they were
sell
like,
out?
what the fuck's he going to do with Fisto? And shit like that. So I've seen a bunch of that. Trust me, even if I was just like, oh, do I have an interesting use for Fisto? Number one, they'd be like, it's been done. Number two, they'd be like, that ain't going to happen here. Like, we are playing it as close to the classic era as possible. And some people have asked online, like, I don't get it that you guys talked about we're picking up where the classic era left off and shit. How do you do that when the show was single episodes and it did not have a mythology and stuff, but it did have a mythology? It just wasn't like, punched in your face constantly, but it ran throughout a bunch of episodes, and that's the stuff that we get to play with. When we sat down and started breaking story, it was all about that. It was all about taking these characters and telling a story that was the next chapter. And the guy who had to approve it is the world's biggest fan. So we couldn't just throw bullshit past him. It had to be legit. Because, as you sit there listening to him talk about it and throw in, you realize, oh, he doesn't even need us. He could totally fucking do this by himself, but he can't because he's got fucking 96 other
Don't
shows.
tell
and
him
shit.
that.
Yeah, it's true though. Like
It
as
is.
you sit there and talk to
really
him, you're
is.
like, he should fucking write this. Like it's
Yeah.
in his blood, in his DNA and stuff. But he entrusted us to do it, and so when we handed in what we handed in, he like fucking went for it. And that to me was like, if you get him, you get all of fandom.
Well, and like if he's the number one fan, like Rob David might be number two.
Number two.
And
Rob has been carrying this for
and Mattel is very protective
Yes.
of this character. And this
they
brand.
wouldn't let us fuck with it. Nobody's like, oh, it's fucking. It's not like I'm fucking Quentin Tarantino. I'm sure if Quentin Tarantino came in and he was just like, I want to fuck with this, they'd be like, go ahead. But fucking Silent Bob don't walk in the room and be like, I'm gonna fuck with this. They're like, get the fuck out. You know. So I mean, but I wouldn't want to fuck with it. Like same way, like I love when people reverently treat the fucking characters that I grew up watching or engaging with. That's how I'm treating this. Like I'm not going in there to be like, look, we got to make it grown up so everyone's fucked up and wrong and shit. We're just telling the next stories. And more importantly, like this is what the folks at Powerhouse are amped about. It's shit I never really thought about. What appealed to me about those shows always is they're dialogue heavy, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's about relationships, people talking to each other and shit. And every once in a while there's a fucking fight, but those fights are pretty, there's a lot of head rolls and shit like that, and there's not a lot of hardcore fighting. What Powerhouse Animation wants to bring to it, and what the dream for the show is, when you were a kid and you watched it, you were like, you had better fights with your action figures than they ever did on the show. We're going to put like wicked fighting into the show.
This
like,
should feel like what you imagined the show was when it actually sometimes wasn't that, but in your head it was.
the aim is to look. The show is more like the box art for
Yes.
the figures, like which always looks so fucking metal and whatnot. And then you'd watch the cartoon, and they were like, the moral of this story is don't fuck up and shit like that. So we're honoring what has gone fucking before in a big bad way. We're continuing it. That's how we're honoring it and whatnot.
Yeah.
I saw somebody too, based on our breakdown, like Tila's in it, and people were just like, oh fuck, this is an all Tila fucking thing, isn't it? It's a He-Man thing. But Tila, like, if Masters of the Universe is Star Wars, Tila is your central Princess Leia figure. She was in every fucking episode of the show.
She's essential.
She's essential.
Just like she always was. She will be essential to this also.
Exactly. And it's no different. It's nothing. It's not like, boy, we got something up our fucking sleeves, man. It's all of the characters. And the title, I can't fucking say like more without getting in trouble, but you got to just think, if you're a He-Man fan or a Masters of the Universe fan, think about our title. It's Masters of the Universe Revelations. I could say this because it was written into the breakdown. They used the term about blah, 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 end of the universe. That was the original title for the series, was Masters of the Universe, End of the Universe. So, like, it's a pretty fucking, like, big, epic story. But then we all decided Revelations was kind of more on point. We're obviously not going to end Masters of the Universe. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, it's back, now it's fucking dead. Nobody touch it for another 30 years. No, so the title
horn
obviously
sounds, angels come down. it's a whole
exactly.
thing.
People are like, fuck,
shofar.
they're serious. That's as dead as
Shofar's
fucking
so good.
Gwen Stacy. But we're living on this thing like we got a guy who's two guys over us who wouldn't let us do like what some people would say my version. And I'll be honest with you, I don't want to do my version. I don't want to do any fucking version of He-Man where it's like people are smoking weed and shit. I would love this to be just like fucking He-Man so that nobody goes, it's got to seem like continuity of service. I don't want anybody to go like, your fucking He-Man didn't smell like He-Man at all. It smelled like fucking mall rats or something like
It's
that.
not like you've never done this before.
I know.
Anybody who's saying that has never read your Green Arrow, has never read your Daredevil, has never you've done
Well,
this
and to be
before.
fair,
It's
but
like,
that
this
shows
is
you like the
vibe,
comic
right?
book
Like,
community is much smaller than
That's true.
the mainstream community and stuff. So folks that know my comic book work, I don't think they're the ones like bitching. I think it's just people who are like, isn't that a fucking Silent Bob guy? And to be honest, and just to make this clear, not a lot of bitching. Like it's not like I can't fucking deal with this. The overwhelming expression of support and love when we announced this on the internet, or right up until the moment I walked in here, has been fantastic.
PowerCon was unbelievable. Like that audience.
Oh, we will never be as cool as we were at PowerCon. Us, you will be cool. You two will continue to be cool. But for us, we sort of got the backwash.
People wanted pictures with the writers. They wanted autographs from the writers.
That was important. I
doesn't
felt
happen.
like we got to bring everyone up, show them the faces, man. Like this is the people that are safeguarding your childhood. Number one is good for me because I'm like, them too. Don't just fucking blame me and shit like that. But number two, it's like, I don't know. That's why I liked bringing Teddy up. Rob was up there because we were under the guise of it was a Rob panel and stuff like that. But I liked bringing Teddy up as well and the Powerhouse kids and you guys, just so everyone can see like this is real. These are the real faces behind it. These are the human beings and stuff like that. These are the people that are going to shepherd this thing in. Like, just make it a little bit more real for people and give people their propers. I know how hard all these people have worked on this, man. We sat there for a long time and fucking broke story and sweated over coming up with the right fucking story to tell and really feel like we arrived on it and stuff. So that had everything to do with you guys. So it was important to me to like, let's bring them up too.
Well, and I was a kid. I was like 6, 7, 8 years old when He-Man was on first run. And so it was like, He-Man and Transformers and Batman were the 80s for me. And I didn't know what to expect when I came in that first day with you. And I couldn't believe how steeped in Masters of the Universe lore you are.
Yeah.
I mean, you knew
all that shit that people tell you. Why are you wasting your time watching that shit? You just have to prove them wrong over a lifetime. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I would catch so much shit from my cool friends. Like, why are you watching that? I'm like, because it's good, man. I don't know, it's fun. I like that they got a lot of characters. It reminds me of like DC and shit like that. And so everything
you love it, and the
manufactured
fans know
for
that.
use. It found a place sometime. Like, it wasn't then in the moment, but later on down the line, I was like, oh, I do know an inordinate amount of shit about this. And the watchword as we went into our writing session, because like that's what Rob and Teddy were talking about, was like these characters. You got a world of characters, a toy box full of characters. Treat and we've seen the stories and stuff like that. All I asked, this came from Teddy, he goes, just treat it Shakespearean. And I was like, done and fucking done, man. And so that's what we're doing. We're not making it gritty and graphic and now this one's a fucking killer and shit like that. It's just everything's got like an epic feel and stakes. If you break it down, it's about a family at the end of the day, man. We're going, without the fucking dragons and boobs, we're going Game of Thrones-y with it because that's kind of what it is to a large degree.
Can we get some dragons and boobs?
No, we don't need that, man. That's the other guys.
I mean, the thing that I responded to coming in not as the world's biggest He-Man fan was, again, that we could treat it like it's real drama.
Yes.
And that when you're writing it, it's scenes with people who want different things. It's human people, in some case beast people, who all like have wants and needs and desires, and here's obstacles you can put in front of them. Like not that every story is the same, but you can impart this level of just attention and care and just thoughtfulness to this stuff that hasn't been done before, to both elevate it beyond what some of the other stuff like it is, but also make it the version you always kind of wanted it to be, while still being what it is, but by being the version we now get to make as grown-ups who know how this works and remember what it was like to be a kid playing with toys.
It looked like that to me as a kid. It looked like it was mature and adult and grown up.
That was Ted's point. Teddy said, like, when I watched it, it was real. And I took it back to Batman. I'd watched, fucking the Adam West, or what we now call Batman 66, as a kid, and that was not like campy. I'm like, they might get eaten by this giant clam. What the fuck? Somebody save them, So I knew what he meant when he said that. I'm like, yeah, of course. You didn't watch this going like, oh, it's goofy fucking fun. You were like, fuck, I hope he doesn't win. I hope they beat Skeletor. And every week, like, fuck, they did it. So treat it like that. Treat it with the level of like severity. Because when we say drama, you don't want people being like, oh man, it's gonna be a fucking cry fest. That's what they did. They did dramatic stories as well and stuff. They were dramatic morality tales. But it's, there'll be some big time fighty in it. But this is about relationships across the boards, through a family, through a dynasty and stuff. So I don't know. It's really good. What else should we talk about? I saw on the internet. People have asked about She-Ra, which is a show we all absolutely love. And they're doing an incredibly original take on it, which is fucking fun and stuff. Obviously, it's not. Theirs is a like quasi-futuristic take, whereas ours is also set in a quasi-future, but married to the timeline of the classic era. So as of right now, you know, certainly for our first season, and certainly not for their. Are they going to a second or something like that?
Yeah.
They're on season three, I think. Yeah.
There have been. There's no like we got to land our ship, just like they've got like seasons to build their show and establish. We're gonna do the thing we're gonna do before anybody talks about how do you jam these two wonderful things together or blah blah blah.
We just need a title sequence that is 5% as cool as theirs.
They do have a great title.
Because that song, Warriors, fucks. Their title song fucks. I think I wrote half my episode just.
Did you
listening.
say fucks?
Yeah. Yes, you did.
Is that a thing the kids say? Like it
That's
fucks.
the thing the kids say.
Yeah.
So I'm done using rocks. It's on to fucks.
It's
Yeah.
fucks.
Yeah.
Done and done. So this is gonna be so weird tonight with my wife when I'm like fucking fucks.
It does.
The thing that I also noticed. God damn it.
And that's why we hired you as a writer, man. It's kind of quick thinking right there.
Yeah, pound for pound, the dirtiest person in the business.
Pound for pound.
My DMs did kind of blow up from people like, "Hey, I'd be awesome voicing this character."
Oh, fuck.
And I said, "I'm sure you would be, Dad, but no, that's not what we want for this show."
Still, though, your dad as Skeletor would be amazing. You could work out a lot of issues, man.
Man alive.
Did you see Jason Mewes tried to break some news at the panel?
Yeah, Jason Mewes was like, I'm He-Man. He didn't try to break some news. He tried to get a job. Story of that fucker's life, man. I was like, aim lower. You're more of a stinkor. But yeah, if we can, of course, naturally, I'd love to get him in there. But then again, I don't want somebody being like, oh, it's fuck, I knew it. Some of these motherfuckers sell weed in Eternia and shit like that. So I might need him to like stay away so it can be as He-Man as it could possibly
As
be.
a
With
spinoff, I'd watch that.
right?
It'd be an elaborate,
Just
like,
selling weed in Eternia.
trying to keep.
Don't you
Jace-
fuckers are gonna get us in trouble. Stop it, man.
Did you see made fan art of you as Weed Man? It's
As
on the internet,
Weed Man?
so it's real now.
So am I
Man.
dressed like
Weed
He-Man?
Man, yeah.
I like somebody did me as Man-at-Arms, which I thought was kind of cute. Like a animated Silent Bob version of
And
Man-at-Arms.
somebody did a He-Man in the style of the Clerks cartoon.
Somebody
is
did
cool.
He-Man in the Clerks
Yeah, the
cartoon
Clerks
style.
I can find who it is.
That's pretty fucking
Well, my
sweet.
phone's dead.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be a good time, but it's also gonna be a long time before folks see it. I just to break things down, and again, this is not to tell you how many episodes, but there are episodes. It's a series. I've turned in the script for the first episode. Dia turns in the script
Monday.
on Monday
Next Monday.
for episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
The next script that comes in is by Mark. The next script that comes in for episode 4 is by Tim. The next script that comes in, episode 5, is Eric. And then the rotation kind of begins again. So the writing process has definitely begun. Casting seems to be a ways away, although they asked me to put together a casting document to break down the characters. Like, who would you be looking for these voices? Not actors or actresses, but like, explain Adam to us, explain He-Man to us, a brief breakdown so they can go out and start the casting process. But then once we have all those elements, and that's for as many episodes as we're going to do, we hand that all over to Powerhouse in Austin, our animators, the folks that did Castlevania, and they start their process, and their process of naturally is a lot longer than our process. And Brad broke it down the other day to be like, figure, what did he say, a minute a week or something like that, where you're like, well, wait a second. If we're
was
doing
a
like
minute a
30
week, I
minutes or something like that, it's like, yeah, there's your fucking
I
math.
feel bad for writing anything now. I'm
It
like,
doesn't-
well,
it
this
makes
is
you-
hard for you to do.
it
I
makes-
just write it.
I know. It makes
then-
you want to do like 5-page scripts so that you can get through it faster. But they told us too to keep it tight. Like our scripts, our submission scripts are no longer than, I don't know if they've announced how long it is. You know what? I can't say shit. But there's a strict length to them. Like, we can't go over them even by half a page, which, you know, would seem like not that big a deal or luxury in the realm of writing, particularly when it's like, you don't have to build this shit in the real world. You're just going to draw it. But it's like, we won't have time. We've got this much time to tell a story, and anything over that, you got to start hacking out other things because you're not taking into consideration all the fight stuff, which spreads and takes on minutes of its own and stuff. So it's a new process for me because I've not done like animated drama. The Clerks cartoon was years ago, and it was not dramatic in the least. Thankfully, these cats here have worked in animation. This cat here has worked in writers' rooms and stuff because I'd never been in one of those either. And they made my first experience real fucking easy, man. It was fantastic. You guys did a great, great job. That's why it was easy to bring everybody up. I'm like, these are people that fucking built the show with me and stuff. So more when we can reveal it as we go on. I think we covered all the possible talking points and maybe put anyone at ease. And again, there was nothing but overwhelming support. But for anybody that had any question marks left, I just wanted to make sure we hit everything and whatnot. Like, we're treating this as if you were in charge of it. It's that simple. If you love this shit, it's being treated as if you're fucking in charge. So thank you to, well, he's going to be here the whole show. But thank you to Eric, Tim, and Dia. Give it up for your writers on MOTU. That was just lovely, man. When we did the announcement at PowerCon, like, the internet lit up and has been very positive for the last 2 days. And I've been driving around, like, feeling good, not like full of myself, but I'm like, fucking hey, man, life's good. Like, the Jay and Silent Bob reboot tour is selling incredibly well, so much so that we keep adding fucking shows and stuff. The premiere is coming together nicely. Everything in the fucking MOTU announcement, like, not only do we have a fucking gig, but also the announcement went over well. Everything's coming up Millhouse, as we like to say and shit. And then, but into every fucking life, a little rain must fall. I open up my goddamn internets and fucking click on top news on Twitter, as I'm wont to do, and see Spider-Man up top.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, they're announcing the title of Spider-Man 3. And instead, they announced the end of the fucking universe, man. I guess we'll be in the news section.
We are steadfastly in the news right now.
We're in the news right now, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Mark Bernardin takes the time to go find the news for you, man. However, this news found us. Give it up for Mark. He found the news. Mark, tell us this fucking horrible news.
So yeah, money seems to be the root of all evil. I think I read that in a book somewhere.
Yes. Pretty good book, if I remember.
Kevin Feige will...
speaking of the good book, the Lord himself, Jesus on earth, Kevin fucking Feige
will no longer be involved with Spider-Man.
What? Yeah, that's the fucking news, kids.
That's the fucking news, because here's the deal. Sony, which produces and finances the Spider-Man movies, had brought on Kevin Feige and Marvel to sort of consult and produce, and he was the lead creative producer on Homecoming and Far From Home.
Which allowed them to bring Spider-Man into the Marvel Universe, including
Correct.
Civil War, before his own movie even came out. With the pitch being wisely, look, people like these Marvel movies, man. Put him in one of our fucking Captain America movies, and then he'll probably open real well in his movie. In fact, why don't you let us help tell that story? Mm-hmm. Like, we're pretty good at this sort of thing.
Like, everybody gets some shine, everybody gets some love. Sony financed the movies and released the movies. Marvel was getting 5% first dollar gross, which means it's not after any of the bullshit write-downs, not after the
real
accountants
money.
take a look at it. Real money. 5% of everything these movies make.
They also had
all of the merchandising.
Which is a very sweet plum.
Which is a very sweet play. Because if you remember, George Lucas, when he made Star Wars, the deal of a fucking century, 20th Century Fox was like, hey, we're going to take all the rights. We're going to release it. You're going to be the writer-director. And George said, hey, do you guys mind if I take, like, sequels and toys? And they were like, who gives a fuck about sequels? Nobody makes those, and nobody's fucking buying toys. And then he sells Lucasfilm for $4 billion because he realized...
Not the next day, like a couple decades later.
But the empire that would become Lucasfilm was built on...
Toys.
I got to keep the rights to the sequels, and I sold
how he got to finance Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi was on the back of all the toys. He self-financed those movies.
Yes.
Like out of his own fucking
He became the
coffers.
studio.
He's an independent filmmaker at the end of the day and shit. And then he used 20th Century Fox to distribute those movies. But 20th Century Fox had nothing to do with Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, other than be like, aye, Captain. They just simply put it out.
Whatever you want to do.
He had all the money to do it because we bought all those toys when he put them out.
Right. And so Disney getting the merchandising rights is not insignificant because they have a bunch of fucking parks and you can't not buy that shit when you come out of a park. You can't not buy that shit for your kid in Walmart or Kmart or anything that has a mart in any holiday that kids seem to give a shit about. They would have made and probably did make more than they might have just on the toys than they would have made in theatrical release. But so what happened was Sony said, hey, let's keep this business deal going. You keep your 5% on the merchandising. We're going to make more movies. And Disney said, well, we'd like to re-examine this deal. We would like to co-finance these movies with you. We will pick up half of the fucking cost of making them.
And these movies are expensive.
They're not cheap. They're,
Minimum like $200 million for like a Spider-Man.
Easy. So we will pay for half of them, but we also want half of the box office revenues. Not the 5% we took before. We want half. And probably also keep the toys, because who are we fucking kidding? And Sony said no. Sony said, let's just do what we had done. And Disney said, we don't want to do that. And so they broke up probably a little acrimoniously to the point where Spider-Man will not appear in any more Marvel Cinematic Universe movies.
Fuck the world, man. Now, there's also been reports this may not be finalized, right?
I mean, this could very well be a negotiation tactic. I don't know if it would have become public if it was, but it could be a first volley, a big fucking volley across the bow. And they could always change their minds a year from now when Sony puts out the first Kevin Feige-less movie and it doesn't do well, or it's not what we need it to be, or it just stinks on ice. And they go back and say, hey, about that 50%, you guys still want that? Yeah, it's not over yet. And also, to be fair, Sony did make one pretty fantastic Spider-Man movie with no or minimal contact with Kevin Feige, which is Into the Spider-Verse. It's not impossible to make a fantastic Spider-Man movie.
Yes, and I don't think that's the thing here. I don't know if my disappointment is, oh man, like Kevin Feige's not going to do Spider-Man, although that's a big part of it. My bigger disappointment is I liked him mixed up in the Marvel universe. That's what's going to fucking go away. That's what like I'll miss. And, you know, some people are like, oh, you're just rooting for one fucking, you know, corporate Death Star to beat another corporate Death Star. And I'm like, yeah, look, they're going to play funny boardroom games regardless and shit, big business. I just want to fucking benefit a little bit. I got a little skin in the game. I like these fucking movies an awful lot. Perhaps an unsafe amount. We'll see one day. You know what I'm saying? I just like them too much. But, like, I loved what they were doing. They had a great thing fucking going on. And, you know, I some people were like, Disney's being greedy and shit. I don't see it that way. I see it as like they did all the work. They made those movies earn a fuck ton of dough. They got 5% and the toys. Like, they're coming back to the table. They're asking for like something more, man. And they're not saying like you keep paying the bill. They're saying like we'll split it 50-50. We'll split the profits 50-50. Like, oh, please. Disney's going to buy Sony. I can't see that happening. But, you know, fuck. Yeah. Couldn't have seen them buying Fox either and shit. Yeah.
Like, nor honestly do I want that.
That'd be amazing. I do.
You do? I don't.
I know I shouldn't say that. People get shitty online. They're like, fucking, that's people losing jobs, you piece of shit, just because you want fucking Spider-Man to suck Captain America's dick. Fuck you. And I understand there are very real world fucking complications and that come from like these mega mergers and shit like that. So yeah, I guess we don't want them to buy fucking Sony. And Sony's not for sale, just like Greenland. So so at the end of the day, yeah, I guess we'll find out. But at the end of the day, yeah, I guess I'm just like, it's a first world problem bitching about how, man, like fucking now I can't put all my toys in one fucking collector case and shit. God damn it. But, you know, whatever. I'm sure that something will be figured out. And the one like fucking silver lining on the dark cloud is Lord and Miller.
Yes, who have a deal at Sony and could, like, if you have to bring in somebody to make sure that Spider-Man does what Spider-Man's supposed to do the way Spider-Man's supposed to do it.
The
Those
guys that
seem to
did the Lego
understand that.
movie and the guys that who did Spider-Verse as well. Yeah, you could do a lot worse.
You know, and I think that Sony believes that they have Tom Holland, who now knows how to play Spider-Man after having learned at the feet of the master. John Watson.
But what? He's
directed.
never gonna fucking reference Tony Stark again and shit. Like the whole fucking arc of that kid is, I fucking love you, Mr. Stark. And now fucking what? The next movie's gonna be like, oh fuck, I remember I used to have an uncle. Ben! Yeah.
Uncle Tony.
I saw a bunch of fucking people on Twitter, when I saw this, I was like, what the fuck? One of the hashtags was Uncle Ben, and I was like, did Sony announce already? Like, the next movie's Uncle Ben. But it was just people on Twitter being brilliant. Like, that's, I know Twitter has done weird things and bad
what's it
things,
all about?
but I love the fact that Twitter has introduced us to a nation of really funny people. A lot of them funnier than fucking me and shit. So I go there to the hashtag, and it's a bunch of people putting up fucking memes. You know that one Jordan Peele sweating bullets thing? So they put up that GIF, and it says, Uncle Ben, when they hear there's another reboot coming. Everyone making variations of that joke. Uncle Ben was trending because so many people were like, what the fuck? Now they're going to bring back Uncle Ben again. Some person wrote, I refuse to watch Uncle Ben die for a fourth time in my lifetime.
Are we sure that it wasn't just a lot of people who liked rice?
Yeah, I was like, whoo! I put up my own gif of Denzel Washington fucking being relieved when I found out it was just about rice. Yeah, man, fuck. I don't know. Why can't fucking rich people get along, Mark?
Money changes everything.
And it's not even like these are like fucking people like, who's in charge over at Sony?
Tom Rothman and somebody Vince Aguirre.
Amy Pascal, she's a producer on Spider-Man. I'm sure she's the one right now going, fucking give him all the money. Because she knows how valuable
Don't just put it
Kevin
on me.
Feige is. Yeah. All right, but Tom Rothman.
Yes.
He's in charge of Sony.
Yes.
Of the studio, not of like Sony, the corporation.
Correct.
Why does he get to fucking make the decision? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying I should make the decision, but like,
put it to a vote. Hunger Games, that shit.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seems weird. I'm certainly not gunning for a dude's job, but it's like, we all want a thing. Mm-hmm. Doesn't he want that thing? And why wouldn't he want that thing? Because then somebody would be like, you're fired for giving away the house or something. I don't give a fuck. He'd be a legend in my book, man. Well, he could always come work at View Askew. I'll tell you that right now, man.
I will say this, that if you had to put like faces on those two characters, there's a world in which Tom Rothman is Lando Calrissian and fucking Disney is Darth Vader, and Lando's like, this deal is getting worse all the time. Like, we had an agreement. It's like, well, I decided to re-examine this agreement. This deal is getting worse all the time. Like, we had a deal at 5%. I have altered the terms of the deal.
Pray I don't alter it any further. Well, that's a good prism to put it through, man. Fuck, they should put you to work on Middle East peace negotiations. You just whip out the Lando.
Who wants to be Lando? Who wants to be Lando? Who's the blackest guy in this
problem
room?
with all you people is you've never thought about which one of you is Lando.
Who wants a Colt 45? We'll fix this in a jiff.
All right, well, fuck, man. I know these are first world problems, but they're the first worldiest of first world problems, but it really does bug me. I got no skin in the game. I thought about buying some Sony stock so I could fucking sell it today.
if you want to know how greedy these motherfuckers are, all of them combined, they are re-releasing Far From Home into theaters with like a new scene.
Even while this fight's going on?
Yeah.
I hate you. But let's get a little more of that fucking money,
a little bit
man.
more. Here's
some of that web fluid, man.
See if we can get
it's like fucking goodbye sex. We're breaking up, but let's fuck one more time.
One last time.
They put a movie out with a new scene.
Yeah.
What is it? Is the one they showed us in the trailer of him beating the dudes up and the cops talking to him?
It's an action scene. They didn't describe what it is.
I guarantee it's that because we saw it in the trailer and they didn't have it in the movie and shit.
Yeah.
All right. I'll fucking go back and stuff because this may be the last time we get to see Spider-Man touched by the hands of God. I'm a big Kevin Feige fan, man. I love the story he's telling. I don't want a job. Please don't accuse me of fucking like wanting a job. I could never make a Marvel movie. It looks like a lot of work, and I'm not that guy. But I appreciate when something's done incredibly fucking well, and I liked his handling of Peter Parker and Spider-Man. I'll be honest with you, it's my favorite, not just cinematic iteration, but media iteration of him outside of fucking comic books. And of course I include Spider-Verse, which I really fucking love. But God damn it, man, Tom Holland and Kevin Feige came up with something really special with that iteration of the character. I wanted to grow old with that fuck, man. Like, I was already looking forward to going back to high school with him until the end of the last movie. And like, fuck you, his life's ruined. And I was like, no, can't wait to see it. So now who knows what they're going to fucking do.
Well, the upshot is Tom Holland will never grow old. And he'll never die. He's immortal.
What do you think?
Pan.
He must be fucking torn, right?
I'm sure. But, it's can somebody put the analogy, it's like trying to win the championship without Michael Jordan. And it's like...
Is that hard? I don't know basketball.
You are familiar with that there was a person named Michael Jordan.
He's a shoe salesman, if I remember correctly.
He was, yes. He looks really good in underwear. Bit of a gambling problem.
I believe I saw him in a Looney Tunes once or twice. I guess that is a pretty strong analogy.
Yeah. So, who knows? Maybe it'll work.
Well,
maybe
the
it won't.
Edmonton Oilers won a cup without Gretzky, so it's fucking possible.
It's possible. See, that's the problem. I didn't make it white.
I know. Oh my God, that was beautiful. All right, fucking enough of that bad news, man. You got any good news?
I don't know if it's good or not, but you remember they made Matrix movies, right?
I do. I remember one really amazing Matrix movie.
Yeah. And then there were more.
What? No, there weren't.
Yeah, no.
No.
So
no, shit ended when he took up into the sky, and that was that.
Yes. So they're making a Matrix 2 now.
Oh, fuck, really? Yes. I'm into that. Yes, I saw this. So this came out of fucking nowhere.
It really did. There had been talk that Warner Brothers was looking to exploit the Matrix universe.
I heard they were making a Wachowski's-less Matrix
Zach
sequel.
Penn was part of the writing process, and there was the rumor that they were eyeing Michael B. Jordan to be the lead, and it was going to be a young Morpheus story, which I still really want. But no, instead we got the fucking band getting back together, minus one person. No. Well, I don't know about Fishburne. They haven't announced him yet. Keanu's coming back. Carrie-Anne Moss is coming back. And Lana Wachowski is coming back. There's no mention whatsoever of Lily Wachowski.
Oh, is that right?
Yes. So,
one of the Wachowskis is coming back, but not the other.
Yes. Lana is going to write and direct and produce. There's no mention in any of the press, aside from acknowledging that Lily co-wrote and co-directed the first three.
Right.
But she does not seem to want... or they don't want her involved with this fourth iteration.
Oh.
Yeah. And I don't know what the story is, but that was the one thing that was curious. Fucking, all right. Larry
That's
Fishburne.
true. There is a missing element. But at least it's a Wachowski.
It is a Wachowski at the helm.
Connected to the material they created in the first place.
Right. So yeah, that is happening. I think when are they shooting?
You happy about this? I
am happy about it.
I'm for it. I'm not against it. I'm not even indifferent. I think I'm for it. I'm not like, oh my God, this is what I've been waiting for. I had no idea it was coming and stuff, but the Keanu Sans continues, and it seems like he wants to sequelize everything he ever did.
Yeah.
And this is one of those movies I can get behind. I hope he does it for Point Break. And I hope he goes back even deeper and does fucking Youngblood. That's what I'm looking for.
Wow.
He was in it. He played a fucking the Quebec goaltender and shit.
Deep cut.
Yeah, man. He could play like a coach this time around. My Own Private Idaho, yeah, but we're missing the other guys. So that'd be tough.
Yeah.
But still, that's what made me happy is that Keanu seems to be enjoying himself to the point where he's like, whoa, let's do another Matrix.
Yeah. And he wouldn't come back unless
he thought it was going to be good. Yeah. So that's a vote of confidence. Is there a bat flying in here?
No, it's heaven calling.
What's going on, JC? Did you pay the bills? Fucking blinking lights. Is that what it is? It's the Matrix. It's Neo going, stop talking about it. I thought, if I remember the end, like, didn't he give himself over like Jesus to make peace between
The machines and
the old lady and the old man and shit?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was a very subtly disguised allegory.
So what? So this means that the peace didn't last?
Somebody killed his fucking dog, is what it means.
Oh, shit. He's back. All right. Well, that's huge fucking news, man. I'm sure they were like, fuck, we dropped that news on the day that fucking Sony and Disney had a big fight and shit.
Yeah, we thought we had this.
I know. It's like, we're going to own the internet. Wait till they hear about this shit. Who did what now? Fuck.
God damn it. Can we take it back?
Yeah. Can we wait till tomorrow? Well, still, that is big news. I'm sure they're going to make lots of monies and stuff.
They will.
I'll see it. It's not like I'm not going to see it and shit.
Yeah.
But who knew? Didn't know that was coming. Now I do. I'm into it.
Speaking of old dudes coming back to a franchise,
Yeah.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes.
I am so fucking happy.
Me too.
I was
finally.
happy when we talked about it when it was supposed to be a movie. Like
Yes.
it went back before Solo came out, and Lucasfilm was like, no more of these. There was supposed to be a standalone. There was a standalone Boba Fett movie that James Mangold was going to direct.
Was going to do an R-rated version.
And Stephen Daldry from Billy Elliot was going to do sort of old man Obi-Wan Kenobi or
Right.
middle-aged man Obi-Wan Kenobi. We've seen old man Obi-Wan. But that has
They
morphed
can't
into...
fucking do the show with Alec Guinness as hard as they try.
No.
It'd be very costly. And people would be like, that looks gross.
It's so weird. But so Disney Plus has stepped in and was like, well, fuck it. If we can get Ewan back, let's make a 49-year-old Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
I figured out this Disney Plus bullshit. This is how we get to fucking sailing deck chairs in Wall-E. All those fuckers in Wall-E just sat around watching shows and shit. That's what Disney Plus is going to be. Like, every time you're like, maybe I should fucking go hike Runyon. They're like, Ewan McGregor is Obi-Wan Kenobi? And you're like, I can wait. And then you'll start drinking cupcakes through a fucking straw and shit like that.
I could chew this food, or could you?
Unbelievable, man. Fuck, another one. This is like, god damn it. They really want to destroy fucking every other streamer out there, don't they? They just want to fucking make up for all the lost time in the world. Like, Netflix has how many subscriptions?
I don't even know. All of them.
All of the subscriptions, and it's going to take Disney. They say, originally they were like, it'll take them fucking years to catch up. But they keep doing shit like this where they're like, hey, remember your childhood? Here it is. Give us $14. We're all going to fucking pay through the nose. Next program they're going to announce is We Have Your Parents. If you ever want to see them alive, buy Disney Plus. And I'll be like, fuck, here it is.
All right, we're gonna make
Hey, they're treating them well. So, all right, fuck, I'm on board for that, man. Ewan McGregor, how great that he'll get to go back to the role.
Totally. I mean,
You think they'll do Clone Wars?
I don't think so because that stuff is still in canon. So I think
Do you bring back what's his fuck? No, you know what's his fuck? Anakin Skywalker himself.
Jake
Hayden
Lloyd?
Christensen. Do you bring
Oh.
back Hayden Christensen? Don't say no right away. Let's think about it first. Do you bring back Hayden Christensen? I say yes, because then you could do some of that fucking the shit they did in the animated series. Do they bring in Ahsoka? Is this how they bring in Ahsoka into the Star Wars universe?
Yeah, I think they would do that before they did Hayden Christensen.
Oh my God! Can it be Rosario Dawson, please? Are you in charge?
Yes.
Then make it
Yes,
Rosario
I am.
Dawson.
Will do.
Oh my God!
And I also think you could do young Luke.
We saw young Luke. It was called fucking Star Wars, man. What do you want more than that for? I say you could do, Obi-Wan Kenobi because Alec Guinness can't do it himself. Plus, Ewan McGregor played Obi-Wan Kenobi. Going forward, if you were going to do some more series, man, you do shit like Boba Fett, but they're doing The Mandalorian, so that kind of cancels that out a little bit. You do shit with like the people that, like the Cocoon cast. They'll never get older and they'll never die. Do the droids, fucking give me a Greedo series and shit. Anybody under fucking plastic so they can keep going forever and ever. This Obi-Wan Kenobi show, you think it'll have the droids in it? It gotta be, right? Because he's like, I don't remember owning a droid. But he did own that fucking droid, as we saw in these other movies.
But at the time, he belongs to fucking Bail Organa.
What, at the end or during those whole movies?
Well, this phase of Obi-Wan Kenobi would presumably be the Obi-Wan that is safeguarding Luke on Tatooine.
So no droids?
Unless he's got his own fucking droids. But I don't know if it'd be those droids.
I'm out. No. I'm still in, but fucking that's a little worrisome.
I mean, because the version that I love, the idea that I love, is Lone Wolf and Cub with fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi
living on Tatooine,
trying to get this baby to fucking Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, and the Empire is still on his fucking tail because he's got this goddamn baby. Goddamn baby.
I like your story. I want to watch your story. Is that just one you made up yourself?
Yeah.
Fucking do that, man. Like, you got me all excited for a show I'm probably not going to see. That's a good idea right there. Fuck, that'd be a good storyline. All right, is that it for them?
That's it for them.
Good. I approve of that. I want to watch that show.
Excellent.
This is relevant to my interests.
I found this interesting. Marvel is in the podcast business.
Yeah, with Wolverine.
They are also
award-winning podcast.
Yeah, no, it's very good.
They actually do tell a story and stuff.
Yeah.
Gambit is in season 2.
Richard Armitage is plays Logan. But they are now doing a Marvels podcast based on the Kurt Busiek.
Oh, that's a good idea. So use Phil as the voice.
So Phil Sheldon is your sort of like
he was the photographer in the Marvel. For those and everybody who doesn't remember it, Marvels is this beautiful book. Predated Kingdom Come, where Alex Ross did all the painting, and it was told through the perspective of a photographer who worked at the Daily Bugle and other places. And he watched the Marvel Universe come to life with Alex Ross's gorgeous fucking paintings and stuff. Great book. And the idea of it doing it as a podcast is smart.
Yeah, because you can do like the ground level view of here's one regular human dude who's witness to the creation of Human Torch and the creation and the introduction of Namor and the rise of the Fantastic Four and the beginning of the mutants and Galactus shows up and all that shit. But just tell those as discrete episodes in this guy's life is kind of fascinating.
He was like Forrest Gumpy. He was there for the entire Marvel Universe.
Very much so.
That's a good idea.
My favorite part of it is that Ben Urich is a character.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
From Daredevil.
Method Man is voicing fucking Ben Urich.
Really?
Yes.
He's deep into comics. He goes very deep.
Yeah,
he's a true fan, not just a carpetbagger. He loves comics. That's a good call.
That's a very good call.
He's a good actor, too, man. We have him in Jay and Silent Bob reboot, and fucking one take wonder. Like,
really?
First fucking take. Most of the performance him and Red did is in one fucking first take we shot. I was way impressed. I was like, fucking thanks, man. Like, we had 6 things to do that day. And so we had 3 hours allotted for that. And it was dead center in the middle of like 6 other fucking scenes that we were doing all throughout the day. So like I was all over the place and I'd never worked with them. So I was like, man, I don't know how long it's going to fucking take to tell them how we do dialogue or work through this or blah, blah, blah. And the first fucking take, they were just like magic. I could have cut and did cut 98% of everything from the first take. I used one piece of the second take, and mostly because I felt bad that I had them do a second take at all. But, you know, I told them after the first take, I was like, we could literally be done now. And they were like, we came all the way. Let's do it one more time. And so we did it one more time. He's that fucking good, really good. So that's a good role.
I don't mean to brag, but I also did my role in Jay and Silent Bob reboot in one take.
That's true. He did.
I mean, don't gotta fuck around. Like, you need me to not say anything really well? I got you.
Yes. Mark's like the dormouse in Alice in Wonderland. He sleeps and then comes alive and then sleeps again. All right, that's it for him.
That's it for them. A bit of sad news. Our friend of the show, Cameron Cuff, who was on here a couple weeks back.
Nobody died.
No.
A show died.
Yeah, a show died. Cameron Cuff came on.
Such a nice boy. He was standing right there and he told us all about Krypton and shit.
Yes, and like made it a show that I would watch.
Literally sold it better than anybody's ever sold Krypton before.
Yeah. Like Sci-Fi should just like put him in front of a fucking pillar and just tell the story and make that your commercials.
Or make him the head of marketing.
Or that too. But sadly it was too little too late because Sci-Fi canceled Krypton.
Bummer.
And also with it went the hopes for a Lobo spinoff.
Oh, Lobo went away. Did you say no showbo for Lobo?
No showbo for Lobo.
Nate Gonzalez, ladies and gentlemen. Fuck, man.
Yeah. And like sci-fi's in the weird place where they don't produce a ton of their own shows.
Right.
Like they're always beholden to Warner Brothers was Krypton, Sony was Deadly Class. A lot of their other shows are acquisitions from overseas. Like Killjoys came from Canada, I think. A couple of other shows did as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it gets too expensive for those producers, those studios to make the show, and sci-fi can't make enough money on it for their end, they just start canceling shit because they don't own anything. They don't have that vested interest. And so sadly, it results in you watching a show that you love for a while, and then it just goes away. I mean, there's hope in the same way that like The Expanse was in that same boat, and The Expanse got canceled by Sci-Fi, but it turns out that Jeff Bezos' kid really liked The Expanse, and literally that's what happened.
That's how it got saved?
That's how it got saved. Like
Man, why can't Jeff Bezos' kid love Jay and Silent Bob? Fuck.
That's a longer con.
I guess so.
And so, yeah, Amazon picked up season 4, I want to say, of The Expanse. So is there hope? Yeah. I mean, fucking, maybe Jeff Bezos' kid really loves fucking Krypton. Or any of the other fucking streamers might
Was
want
that
to
a Berlanti show?
No, that was David Goyer.
But was it a Berlanti produced show at all?
No.
So that means there's no chance that maybe he shows up in like the big crossover and stuff like that?
There's never no chance.
That'd be nice.
It would be nice.
To tie it in
Nice swan
somehow.
song.
Speaking of the crossover, this is like apropos of nothing, but I got a text from Mark Tyler Nobleman. You know who that is. He did the great Bill Finger doc that's on Hulu, and wrote the book I Am Bill, I think it's called, about Bill Finger. He's the guy who pushed that forward, like the Bill Finger as co-creator of Batman. For years it was just Bob Kane, and Bill Finger didn't get the credit he deserved. Mark pushed for it and stuff. Now Bill Finger, at the front of all the DC movies that have Batman, they acknowledge that Batman created by Bob Kane and co-created by Bill Finger. So Mark always doing the Lord's work. And he's been on the show. He sent me this text, and he said, hope you're well, my friend. You look great. I just tweeted you, and Mark G and Greg B. Oh, I thought Mark G was you.
No.
Mark Guggenheim.
Yes.
Is who he means. Mark Guggenheim and Greg Berlanti about possible multiverse recruits for the Arrowverse crisis. Because, you know, they're bringing people in like Kevin Conroy is going to play Bruce Wayne. Burt Ward, they haven't said who he's going to play, but he might fucking play Robin, which would be amazing and stuff. So they're bringing people in for this version, this crossover, this crisis, not just from the CW universe, but from all iterations of comics. There's been rumors about, like, will the Smallville universe kind of show up and stuff like that. So Mark said he had some suggestions to pass on to people in power and stuff.
Okay.
You see, don't you work with Guggenheim?
Once upon a time on Carnival Row.
On Carnival Row. That's all done?
That's wrapped.
You can text him that.
I will.
This is the suggestions. This is the suggestions Mark said for the Crisis crossover.
Okay.
The first live action Flash from the original Legends of the Superheroes, which was the 1979 superhero roast.
Jesus.
The one that had Adam West, the guy who played Flash. He's still with us, and he's saying, put him in the fucking show.
I'm not going to text that.
Come on, man. He was your childhood Flash.
He was not my childhood Flash.
So harsh. The Wonder Twins voice actors, the kids who played the Wonder Twins, who have never reunited on screen. Never seen them on screen together. They could put them in the Jan and Zayna outfits and let them get killed by somebody.
Form of residual check.
Still saucy. and Mark's final suggestion, and of course, the pimp from Superman the movie.
I will make that fucking text for. Say, Jim, that's a bad outfit. Woo! I want to see that motherfucker get some time in the sun, the yellow sun.
I've interviewed them all, so have contact information. Don't know if Mark Guggenheim and Greg Berlanti regularly read tweets, so hoping you could pass along the suggestions. Look at Zan and Jaina. Come on, man. You want to see them on the big screen, don't you? Or the little TV screen?
Totally. Not as much as I want to see the pimp.
He could do that line again.
That would be the only reason you get him. Is if he sees fucking Brandon Routh in the Kingdom Come Superman outfit. Say,
says,
Jim, that's a bad outfit. Woo! Oh, he's got to find a phone booth for that shit, because otherwise he's just standing on the street shouting at people in clothes.
Mark doing the Lord's work. Mark, not Mark Bernard.
No,
Mark
not at
Tyler
all.
Nobleman doing the Lord's work. So sweet of
Absolutely.
him to think about those cats.
This is not it might be my favorite story of the week. So remember Why the Last Man, right? They shot the pilot. And FX is still pretty excited about it, even though they changed the leadership on high.
What do you mean? Oh, because
they
purchased by Disney.
Yeah, no, not even so much as that. But they had let the showrunners go, and they brought in a new showrunner, and then there's a whole new staff kind of
on
pivoting
Why
the course
itself.
on Why the Last Man
okay.
itself. But in the book, there Yorick Brown has a monkey, a capuchin monkey,
Yes.
named Ampersand.
So anybody have a black Sharpie? We just have silvers and thank you. Keep telling your story, sorry.
And so the monkey is, of course, in the fucking pilot. And it turns out that the same monkey that's in the pilot was Ross's monkey from Friends.
No shit.
It is the same fucking monkey.
Monkeys
Yes.
they live that long?
It's the same fucking monkey. Katie. Yeah, they live to be like 40, 45 years old.
Holy shit.
Katie the monkey. And I'm imagining, and I was talking with Tim about this on the ride up from PowerCon, that like Katie is this saucy fucking like French monkey that is like, you motherfuckers want to get another goddamn monkey in this bitch? Fuck you. Nobody else sits on a fucking shoulder like I do. Fuck you. I am the tiniest King Kong you've ever fucking seen. That is my impression.
Do you have other character bits you're going to work out tonight?
We'll see when we get to the Q&A.
That was adorable. Wait a second. Was another, is this the same monkey that was in Pirates of the Caribbean?
I think that was a different monkey, but it's also the outbreak monkey.
What? This monkey? Hire
Yes.
that fucking monkey. Stop it from getting
Piss a
out in the
fucking
wild and spreading the disease. I loved Outbreak. One of my favorite fucking movies, man.
Dustin Hoffman is action hero. The movies.
He is.
We got to stop that monkey.
There's a great moment in that movie where Donald Sutherland, like Dustin Hoffman is like, we did it in one episode of the Clerks cartoon. Dustin Hoffman is like, talking to the pilot. The pilot's coming in with a fucking bomb and shit, gonna blow this town up and shit. And he's like, I'm talking to the pilots and the bomber. Please, you have to turn around and shit. And he starts giving him information, too much information. And Donald Sutherland is the general or whatever. And he goes, Jesus, Billy, what are you, dumb or something? You just told him what. And then he realized what he was fucking doing and shit. But his "what are you, dumb or something" is one of my favorite deliveries of any line in any movie of all time. Donald Sutherland sold that fucking line. Jesus, Billy, what are you, dumb or something? Anyway, is that all the news?
That is all the news.
Mark read you the news. Give it up for Mark. Jamie, you here? Where's those bags that I stuck backstage here?
I don't know.
They're in the well. Thank you. A couple weeks ago, months ago at this point, we went to, me and Jay, to the Disney lot and met Goose, the Flurkin from Captain Marvel. Took pictures with Goose, shot some video with Goose that we put up online and stuff. When we left, they gave us a gift bag full of stuff. Since Muse had one too, this is mostly kids stuff for Captain Marvel. Muse gave his stuff to his 4-year-old. That was the only 4-year-old I knew, except for the adult 4-year-old, Jamie Cattiers herself. So she asked for it. So just to showcase it, there's a gorgeous Captain Marvel and Marvel's Goose figure there. And it's like a Barbie style from Hasbro. And then there is, of course, what everybody wants and needs, a Sam Jackson action figure. Nick Fury action figure himself. Obviously, you don't put the two together unless it's a weird, oversized adventure and stuff. And then finally, this may be the coolest of the swag they gave out. They gave out a copy of the movie. Of course, I kept that. Fuck you. But this is a Photon Power FX glove. So you put on the glove, and it makes so you can blast motherfuckers across the room.
Sweet.
And so I was talking about it, and Jamie was like, "Can I have that shit?" And I was like, "Oh my god!" So Jamie, it's yours. It took me a few weeks to remember, but here, come get your shit, man, from the good folks at Disney. And you're wearing a Captain Marvel jacket. How perfect! What's this is made for my kid? Oh my god, thank you. I didn't know we were doing swaps and shit.
Yeah.
Yankee swap.
I'd have brought you something.
All right, man. We've done the news.
Yes.
Now we get to everyone's favorite part of the show. This is the Q&A portion of the show.
Well, then we want to talk to a dude first?
Fuck yeah, you're absolutely right. I forgot. I'm so stoned. I forget. We had a huge fucking guest. I got so deep in up the ass of Castle Grayskull and up Sony's ass about this thing that I forgot. We have a massive fucking guest in the house, ladies and gentlemen. All of us have seen and engaged with Star Wars, naturally. That attested to the fact that Force Awakens made, what, fucking $2 billion or something like that? Which means you're familiar with our next guests, or for our first guest, our only guest tonight, his work, man. If you love BB-8, then you love BB-8's baby daddy. This is Brian, who created or controls? Puppeteer controls BB-8 in all the fucking movies, man.
Hello.
Brian and I met when I went over to England to visit a movie set, which we're not at liberty to say what
The
movie.
first time we met was when you went to The Force Awakens.
That's right, and we can talk about
and you
that.
just turned up and you were crying your eyes out because you'd just been on the Millennium
Shut the fuck up, man. Like, yes. I did.
Okay,
I was crazy
hold on.
emotional.
Are you British?
I am.
Did he kidnap you by accident, kind of reverse-like on the side of a road and invite you back to his house and, like, offer you drinks and, like, weed and shit? Because he seems to do that a lot to British dudes he runs into.
Happened.
Good.
Happened last week.
I know. Just point to the doll where he touched you.
We met long before that. We met, as Brian was saying, after while I was visiting for Force Awakens, and they let me go see the Stage M where the Falcon was and stuff. And then I came back and I was watching JJ shoot. No, it was right before I went. I was watching JJ shoot the scene, and before they were rolling, I was sitting there talking to Brian, and I didn't know shit about shit, right? Like, now we all know what the Force Awakens is. At that point, it was like fucking new to me. I was just shell-shocked at seeing stormtroopers. There's fucking C-3PO. There's fucking Chewie. There's Han Solo and shit. This was the Maz's castle scene when they blow it up and whatnot. So we're in England, so everyone's got a British accent except some people and stuff. So Brian's sitting behind the monitors and whatnot, and he's like, "Hello," and I say, "Hey, man, how are you?" I said, "What do you do here and stuff?" He's like, "I work this little guy here," and I was like, "What, the fucking soccer ball? What is that?" And he started making a move. I was like, "Get the fuck out of here! What is this, man?" And so that's how I met BB-8. Months before, probably a full year before the fucking movie came out, and months before the trailer happened. So when the trailer dropped, people were like, "What the fuck was with that little roly droid and shit?" I was so already in the bag with the roly droid because I was like, I've seen it work in person. It's fucking weird, man. Weird and fucking wonderful. You've been running BB-8 since the beginning, but you've done a lot of puppetry shit, correct?
Yeah.
Give them your bona fides.
I started on a TV show called Spitting Image, which is a
Yes.
which
The
is
British
a
puppet
political
show.
TV show back in. It started in the 80s, but I joined it in the 90s, and then from there I worked for the Jim Henson Company in the UK for about 10 years. Started doing some movies. Did Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Hellboy 2.
What did you do on Hitchhikers?
I was the little Vogons that were running around, the minions, and
nice.
a lot of the Vogon hands, because my wrists were quite thin, so I could get into the hands for the gloves. And I'm also the ravenous bug bladder beast of Trial. When they're lowering Zooey Deschanel into the cage, you see this eyeball, which is my mouth with an eyeball in it, and the lips are prosthetic. So they just shot it as a plate and put it in.
Fucking A. All right, what else?
I did Prometheus for Ridley Scott, and that's how I met Neil Scanlon, who is the head of the creature department, and he brought me on board for The Force Awakens as a puppetry consultant.
And what were you doing on the Ridley Scott movie? What did you do?
Those little those kind of snake things, those hammerpeed things, which you should never go and just poke one of those things because it's not going to. That's a good idea, isn't it? Let's just give that a poke. So we were doing those. There was a practical version of the thing that came out of her stomach, and the alien at the end was also a practical effect. There were 5 puppeteers around that, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So then, after Force Awakens, have you been pretty much in the BB-8 business?
Pretty much in that, yeah. Pretty much in sort of Star Wars, across Rogue One and Solo as well.
That's fucking right,
Yeah.
man. Holy shit. So what is now, when we think of movies nowadays, of course, we think about, like, everything CG and shit like that. But puppetry is not. It's live action. It's you working a thing that exists in the real world, and maybe they digitally erase a stick here or whatever the fuck, but it's like almost a lost art form.
Yeah, I mean, JJ wanted to make a sequel to the Return of the Jedi, like it was 1985. So he wanted guys in rubber suits and practical effects, and it was very important for him for BB-8 to be there as an actual thing that the actors could interact with. So extremely clever people started trying to work out how to do that. There's a guy called Josh and a guy called Matt Denton, and they worked out that they could make this thing work, and they created a puppet version of it, which has got rods. It's like a kind of a lawn roller. So they got myself and another puppeteer called Dave Chapman, and we kind of worked out his personality. And then if you've seen the behind-the-scenes stuff, I'm the guy in the green suit running around through the desert. And then they just digitally removed me afterwards, So
I'm a puppeteer. They're like, put this on, puppeteer.
Yeah, exactly. Put on something really hot and go out somewhere really, really warm and run everywhere through sand. So there's lots of different versions of it as well. There's versions with wheels on the back that drive around like trikes, and there's ones that just kind of sit there and just act a lot. And versions we throw around, and then they created the other version, the red carpet version. Matt and Josh, the engineers, decided they had unfinished business, and they created the version that you see at the premieres.
That's the one that, like, nobody's controlling it. It's like robotically rolling around.
No, so they drive it. It is a remote control, but the head stays on the body.
Stick
and
or anything.
So
it's like a drone of sorts, right?
Yeah, it's a very clever piece of free rolling tech. It's amazing.
Well, you wouldn't do that in the movie, though.
No,
Tell them why they would do it.
We had used it a little bit, but it's mostly done with the puppet version. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What is the best reaction you had seen to BB-8 when you're operating it?
It's people actually, when we did the first one, people didn't really know what they were looking at. The crew were just kind of like, "Oh, what's that then? What you got there, little funny round ball thing?" But when Laura Dern came on to The Last Jedi, she walked past the tent where we keep it and just lost her mind. It was just like, it's BB-8! And it's like, yeah, Laura Dern from Jurassic Park. Hello. So she was quite excited, yeah.
I believe that's her full Christian name.
Yes.
What is, and I figure like you would be a person uniquely qualified to answer this question. What is the most seminal puppet in pop culture?
Yoda.
Yoda.
Yeah. It was just
that includes all the Sesame Street and Muppets and shit.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Did you just say Elmo? Not for all of us. Although I like Elmo a lot.
I mean, I grew up on the Muppets, and they're absolutely fantastic. But for me, just looking at the performance that Frank Oz put in The Empire Strikes Back when he's teaching Luke about the Force, it was just this thing acting, and that's just for me was just so amazing.
Who was the dude? It wasn't you. I think it was on set. I was having a conversation with the puppeteer and boss who was telling me the story of like how the Muppets had everything to do. England had everything to do with the Muppets because of ITC, the company that.
Oh yeah, Luke Grade couldn't. Luke Grade, who ran one of those ITC, Jim Henson couldn't get that show commissioned anywhere in the US, so he went, "Oh, I'll make it. Come over to England." So they went over there and made the whole show. Yeah.
So a piece of Americana, what everybody thinks of is like, fuck, it's the Muppet Show, man. It's as American as fucking apple pie and shit. Was made only because of and in England
Yep.
the entire time.
It
They
was made
shot
at-
every
yeah.
episode there.
Yeah, it was made at Elstree Studios, just opposite where they shot the original Star Wars.
And that's I mean, well, they were connected anyway, but that made it easy to get Mark Hamill to do that
Yeah,
one
just went
episode.
across the street.
Oh my god, so fucked up. What's been the weirdest moment puppeteering on anything other than Laura Dern?
Yeah. I mean, you stick your hand up a lot of asses, so.
Well, yeah, elbow deep in a bear or something. Yeah.
That's gonna be the name of your biography: Elbow Deep in a Bear.
It was quite weird the day we met Harrison Ford, because we'd been on the film for a while, and it was all like Star Wars, but still not quite Star Wars because the stormtroopers were new and that sort of stuff. And then we did all the stuff in the desert, and then we went and worked on the Millennium Falcon set, but it was with John and Daisy, so it was still quite like Star Wars, but not quite like Star Wars. And then Harrison came to work in his outfit with his big hairy friend, and I'm standing in the corridor into the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon with BB-8 and wearing my fantastic green onesie. And he walked past me and just went, "Who picked that look?" And just walked off. I'm like, "Thanks, Indy." And then we started shooting the scene, and I suddenly went, "Oh, I'm in Star Wars." And that was where it really kind of landed. But it was really odd because it's Harrison Ford. You know, it's like, "Oh, hello." Just poke him.
When you meet Harrison Ford, that's not how you want to be dressed.
Not really, no, but that was my gig and that was it, you know.
Fuck, man. What do you got?
I'm just gobsmacked. I mean, I'm thinking about Yoda again because in my head, just thinking about like the history of movies and how puppets have, in some fashion or another, been part of that. And you know, my head goes back to like Terminator, like Stan Winston putting that fucking armistice on his shoulders to be the fucking the T-800. Thinking about the T-Rex in Jurassic Park, like a decent chunk of that was all fucking puppets.
Yeah.
Kermit on a bike.
Yeah. But
Dark
no,
Crystal.
I can't fucking argue with Yoda, man. I mean,
Big
Yoda,
choice.
and it's the biggest swing of all of them because Yoda could have gone horribly wrong, and if Yoda doesn't work, that movie doesn't work. And they're like, no, fuck it, give it to Frank. He can trust it. Like a generation of children grew up watching him stick his hand up things' asses and believe that they were real. Why wouldn't it work now? And
Were you there when they did the Last Jedi scenes with Frank?
I wasn't. No, I was there. I was there the night. I wasn't around for the shooting, but a whole bunch of guys that we work with all the time were part of his team.
Because
So-
he's worked over there a bunch, right? I
Yeah,
mean, aside
yeah.
from the Muppet movie, he's worked on like Labyrinth. I've met people on that crew
Yep.
who were like, "Oh, we worked on Labyrinth." I was like, "Fucking what?"
Little Shop of Horrors guys and that.
Yeah,
sort of stuff.
and Little Shop of Horrors as well.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Like every movie that I remember loving, I was like, oh, with those wonderful practical effects and shit
Yeah.
they had worked on
Yeah.
over there. I got to see Brian actually work in action. I mean, we're not, Brian particularly is not allowed to talk about episode 9 by any stretch of the imagination. I can. So while we were there,
Oh no.
while we were there, I saw Brian in action. So I saw Brian work. I saw him work on Force Awakens, and I also saw him work here. On both occasions, he worked with legacy cast and the current cast, famous fucking people. They all treated him well from my perspective because I'm like, let's see how they treat the puppet guy. Because they're actors and they're really interacting with each other. And then when they interact with Brian, they're not interacting with him. They interact with BB-8. So
Yeah.
it's almost like they look through him and past him and like, what are we going to do, Rolly Droid and shit? What is it like to be there and not be there at the same time?
Well, that's it. You have to be present in the scene, but not in the scene at all, because you can't be sort of looking at Daisy while she's doing her thing. So you just kind of keep your
Do
head
you
down.
not look at her? Like the whole time I'd be like, You're making all the right choices.
Well, no, I have to react with her as well because I lay down the voice so she has something to react to. So when she's
So do
talking
you
to-
sit there and go like, beep, beep, boo?
Yeah.
Are you fucking shitting me?
No.
That is how you make a Star Wars movie? They're like, Bryce, say beep, beep, boop.
Yeah. So she'll
line.
Line. Beep, beep. Fuck. What was the last word? Boop. Boop. Really?
Yeah.
Do they fucking laugh when you do it?
No.
Because they're professionals.
Exactly. You're in
But
Star Wars.
inside, Daisy must be like, beep, beep, boop.
Or
Fuck.
it's like, that was the best acting I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh my God, that's adorable. So then when you go see the movie, are you like, oh fuck, they took out my beep, beep, boop and put in that fake synthetic beep, beep, boop?
Well, yeah, I didn't know what it sounded like until I saw the film.
Really?
So I didn't know what it sounded.
Oh my God, that's right. So you made a whole movie
Yeah.
thinking like, I know what he's going to sound like. And then the sound mixers got your footage and they were like, beep, beep, boop. And then they gave him that shit that he does.
So which is sort of what I do now.
So, all right. So then when you saw Force Awakens and then every time you played BB-8 after that, do you still go beep, beep, boop? Or do you try to mimic
I
what he
do
does?
that now, yeah.
Him in the movies?
Yeah.
Can you do it? I just got a little wet, man. It's like listening to fucking Peter Mayhew do Chewie back in the day, man. That's fucking dope. What has been the weirdest moment outside of the movies, but because of the movies?
This.
Fun. Have you gotten to go to cons and stuff like that?
Yeah. I've done quite a few actually. It's lots of fun. You know, you go to celebrate the big Star Wars celebration. I was in Silicon Valley last weekend, and where am I going? Colorado Springs next weekend, and then Dragon Con. But that's a lot of fun as well, because people go, "Did you design it?" You go, "No." "Did you do the voice?" "No." "What do you do?" "I sort of do its acting," and they go, "Oh, isn't it not CGI?" Or "How do you fit in that ball?" Which is always a belter.
They think you're Kenny Bakering in that shit. Like, I roll up real tight and I fucking roll around the desert like Danny DeVito and shit.
Oh, you sweet child. Yes, I fit in the ball.
Fuck, man. I've seen JJ work and described him many times. He's fucking great at the job, born to do it and stuff.
Yep.
You can't talk about episode 9, but you can speak about working with him on Force Awakens. Tell him what it's like working with JJ.
He's amazing. He's so much fun, and he knows what he wants, and he makes his days, and he comes in and he gives you.
Say that other thing. He makes his days.
He makes his days.
That's
so,
incredibly important.
Yeah.
Especially on a movie that fucking big, because you
Yeah.
don't get to say that on those giant movies.
No.
You rarely hear like a $200 million movie, hey, we made our day.
Yeah.
So him making his days, like he's got that TV training where he knows how to close and how to move and stuff like that. And that's all important when you're spending like fucking $50,000 a minute and shit like that to tell a story.
And he plays as well, which is great. I mean, he plays music between takes, and he just kind of has a good laugh with everybody. And he's just great. And you can have a conversation with him about an episode of Battlestar Galactica you really liked, and then you'll be chatting away, and then he has to go off and make the big film.
Right.
And then 3 days later, he comes back and says, "And what about that thing where you this?" And you're like, "You're carrying this film on your shoulders, the start of the Star Wars franchise. And you've got Mission Impossible on the go and whatever else you're producing from Bad Robot, and you remember the silly conversation you had with me 3 days ago."
Yeah.
And that's a big brain.
He's extraordinary.
Yeah.
He's a really good guy and stuff. But I've been on those sets now twice, and I'm like always impressed watching him fucking work. Incredibly wonderful with everybody. Not like I treat the fucking, I love the actors, but like, fuck off, coffee person. Like treats everybody like they're the fucking star of the show when he's talking to you and stuff. And directs with one of these in his hands.
Yes, he does, yeah.
Whole time he's on set, like whenever he's directing, he's like, okay, people, because they've got fucking a sound system all over the joint, and because usually the sets are big. It's not like you're in a little room and shit. It's like massive, so they got to hear him in the far reaches. So you'll see him walk around with the mic. Sometimes he like chit chats. He's always giving props and shit like that. He's my kind of guy, man. I loved watching him work. I'm trying to stay away from the new movie, although there's so many
do
things.
it.
I know. Well, yeah.
Come on.
Try harder.
I'm gonna here. I'll do it this way. Did you see the trailer for Rise of Skywalker?
I did, yes.
Did you see BB-8 has a little friend?
I did, yes.
He came out at Celebration, D.O.
They talked about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Dio. They brought him out.
It's called D.O.
And he's got
And
when he
sing.
came out on Celebration, did he come out by himself, like with no puppeteer or anything
Nope.
like that? So they built him like
And they
radio
did the
control?
same. Yeah, they built that after.
But on set, I saw a puppeteer was quite like yourself.
Yep.
And of course, we can't talk about other than what they said at Celebration, which is this is BB-8's buddy.
Yes, and it's online.
So it's like it's C-3PO had an R2-D2, BB-8 now has Dio. Dio, is that it? When
Like
they
Ronnie James Dio.
Yeah, man, it's metal as fuck. When they brought in a new little robot, we were like, fuck, I'm getting out-cuted.
I think there's room for everything.
Fucking smart answer, man. Well done.
Yes.
Dio, yeah, adorable. Look real fucking cute. What do you think is the next flick you're gonna work on? Are you even allowed to say?
I don't know. I don't know.
Did
you thought you were talking about Sorry?
Did you take part in Dark Crystal at all?
I didn't. You don't get to go to every party, but I'm really looking forward to it. There might
And
be
it's a
people
lot of your friends,
There might be
right?
people in this very room that did do that. But
Wait, what?
What? Wait, say again.
Nothing.
Somebody's here that worked on Dark Crystal?
There is somebody here that worked on Dark Crystal, yes. But I'm very much looking forward to seeing it.
Is
and 'cause
it you? You?
Did you work on Dark Crystal?
Come on. Ah, we got him.
You gotta come over here, man. Can you come
on.
over here?
Come on.
I just saw the fucking billboard. What's his name?
Victor Yerid.
Give it up for him, ladies and gentlemen. What did you do?
I was one of the puppeteers.
The fuck? Seriously?
Yeah, they did announce I did a little podling called Hup.
Fucking hey, man. Now, what was it like? They told me when I was over there visiting the Star Wars pictures, some of the cats were working on or had worked on
Yeah,
Dark
lots of them,
Crystal.
yeah.
They said they, like, some people were like, oh, I guess they do it like CG, but they didn't. They did it fucking the old school way that Henson had did it with puppets. They told us that they dug out the fucking floor of the sound stage to build a real floor so that people could puppeteer from underneath. Is that true?
No, that's not true. They did. They just raised the sets. So they
Oh,
built
that makes
everything-
sense too.
Yeah. So they just,
I was like, they must have dug into the earth and shit. They've broken the very rock of England itself.
We got these 19 bulldozers out here. What you want us to do with these?
He's like, no, they just built up, man. Aren't you in movies?
I mean, I remember hearing, maybe was it Teddy maybe who told us? Somebody told us.
Teddy, who's our exec on MOTU.
he's ours too. Yeah,
He's your exec. Yeah, well, he's the guy who's responsible for getting it there, man. He was championing it.
But he was like, yeah, like we did a bunch of tests with CG, and then we brought it back in, and we all said, man, this would look better with puppets. It's like, it's going to be a lot more expensive, but fuck it, do it with puppets. That's the way it's supposed to be, so make it the way it's supposed to be.
So the puppet community must have been like, yes, because everyone was going to fucking work. There are a lot of fucking characters in the Dark Crystal.
Everybody's got kids going to college.
Yeah.
man, it's one of those shows, movies that, that world of Thra was all puppets and to go back there, I don't know, it would really feel like that if you did it half CG and half not. So
Agreed.
And yeah, Ted is the best, man. He wanted that from the beginning and supported that. And he was there on set with us and came and hung out and visited and stuff.
Did he do a puppet?
He did not. He didn't. I did not see him do a puppet. Maybe in the workshop. He
Like,
might
I
have.
paid for this. Give me that fucking puppet.
But wait a second, you went out to England and worked on it?
Yeah, I was out there for 11 months.
Why?
Which
like,
is where I met Brian out there. I didn't know him before that. We just
that right?
Online, we'd.
Why? Now, this is no disrespect to your abilities, but like, I'm sure they got a bunch of puppeteers in England. Why did they bring you over there? Because you're like, I'm the best.
It's fun. After it comes out, I'll have to tell you that story sometime. Because we have NDAs too, and I can't really talk
That's
about
true.
the audition.
No, believe me, I fucking know. I've also signed a Netflix NDA of sorts. Didn't
So
honor
just-
it, but I did fucking sign it.
Because he's like the Hooper of puppeteers, man. Like, if you're going to jump that fucking car, you get the best.
That is like the best publicist you'll ever have.
Thank you.
Calling you the Hooper of puppeteers. Everyone in the 70s would totally understand that
yes.
reference.
There were just 3 Americans that went over that were lucky enough to be a part of it. And
Because the first one around was all Brits as well, right?
And of course, like
except-
Jim Henson and Frank Oz and the core like Muppet guys were there as well. So I think it was probably very similar. Just a few Americans.
What is? I've seen the billboard. How many episodes is it?
10.
10, and each one like an hour long.
Yeah, just about.
It's like a fucking 10-hour Dark Crystal movie.
It's crazy. It's 10 mini movies. It was nuts. It was amazing working on it. Like seeing the monitors on the day. It's epic. It's for me is the most. I feel like I'm taking Brian's time. I should be sitting over there, man. But
No. We took a time out. We fucking blew BB-8 a lot, man. So we can take time out and talk Dark Crystal. This is puppeteering appreciation night and shit like that.
You can get into trouble now.
Yeah, believe me, Brian's like, yeah, talk to him. What's your favorite moment in Dark Crystal in the 10 episodes? What should we be looking for? What's the highlight for you?
The one where they all die, right?
I would say, I think just the stuff that's in the trailer. I'm just thinking like what I can talk about. The stuff in the trailer that's there, these epic battle scenes that you don't really see with puppets because it's hard to shoot with puppets.
Yeah,
With hand
like
puppets and
even in
puppeteers.
Labyrinth, they have the big fight scene in Labyrinth.
Yeah.
It still comes down to like,
Yeah. I think that it disappears.
run.
Yeah. It disappears. I think it feels like characters in those scenes. I think the battle scenes don't feel like puppets knocking into each other. It really does. I don't know. You judge for yourself, but I feel like we were able to achieve that.
When's it starting? If I'm seeing a billboard, it must
like
be
a week
ending.
and a half. It's like August 30th comes out.
Week and a half, right on, man. Give it up for him. Fucking Proton Dark Crystal.
Awesome.
Well done. You go back a long time with Star Wars into your childhood and whatnot. Did you have the action figures?
Oh yeah.
So you were puppeteering even as a young kid
Yeah.
doing this shit.
Yeah.
And then you actually grew up to real puppeteer.
I got a report card when I was about 10 that said that my obsession with Star Wars would lead me nowhere and I should concentrate on my academic studies.
Fuck, man.
How do you like them apples?
Yeah, no doubt. Let me see. I'm trying to stay away from episode 9. Were you there?
Blink if it's true.
This goes back to Force Awakens. Were you there when they shot the fucking? He sticks his thumb out and does the lighter.
Yes.
Now, was that?
That's a combination of the practical puppet version of BB-8 and then a digital panel with a little digital thumb.
So, and did you know when you were shooting the scene that he's going to do a little digital thumb? They knew that at that point and shit like that? It's one of my favorite bits in the entire fucking movie.
it's great.
I mean, it's a great gift, too. It's always being used online. What is the weirdest compliment you've received in connection to BB-8? Like, oh, I love your balls and stuff like that. Like,
That's always nice
They're
to see
so
you roll your
smooth.
balls out.
yeah, they roll right across the desert.
I think the biggest compliment is that people can't tend to tell the difference between the digital versions and the puppet versions, and everybody thought it was digital when the trailer dropped, and so it's just nice because he is every tool in the box, and it's a massive team effort. So I mean, I just happen to be standing here now, but there's so many guys involved in it. It's just that little kids love it, which is the nice thing. They just take it on face value. And that's a really big compliment.
I mean, it's like I'm glad we live in an era now, of course, where people can use CG effects to achieve the impossible and stuff. But I grew up in a rubber era. I grew up with practical effects, so I loved when they said like, "Oh, JJ's going to do practical effects on Force Awakens." Then we first started seeing the trailers and stuff. Like it was a wholehearted commitment and stuff. Really nice to see you guys get to work. You know, right now we get to see the stuff that you do, and can't wait to see what you do in episode 9. Do you want to tell us anything that's going to happen in episode?
I'm concerned because it comes out the same day as Cats.
Is it coming out the same day as Cats?
Oh, you guys are fine.
Give it up for Brian, everybody.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Excellent. Come on, man.
That's awesome.
You never fucking meet somebody that controls like one of your favorite characters and a fucking instant addition to pop culture canon. Like everybody knows BB-8. That's nuts. Fucking Bride, touching legends and shit. All right. Is that all we got for guests? Now it's time for Q&A?
Now it's time for Q&A.
Now it's time for Q&A, ladies and gentlemen. Part of the show where we let you folks ask 3 questions, and then we give out 3 prize packages, which this week will include, I'll do these last so you can do that right after.
Okay.
You'll get this, the 3 winners tonight. We'll get this beautiful print, Fat Man Beyond, done by our great Nate Gonzalez, featuring me and Mark, signed by me and Mark and Nate, man. That's part 1 of your prize package. Part 2 is I brought bags of shit, too.
You got bags of shit?
I do. Part 2 is you get a caviar hat. Caviar is my favorite weed in the world. So you're going to walk away with a caviar hat. Third off, you're going to walk away with one of these, man. It's a jar.
What's it a jar for?
It's whatever you want to put in it. I choose weed. So it's a little glass jar, man, by the good folks at Famous Brands. This one's a movie one. The other one's a Jay and Silent Bob one. And then the other one's a Blunt Man and Chronic one. So you're going to walk away with those things. And then last, and certainly not least, is the biggest and best, is you're going to walk away with 2 tickets to a 4DX screening of your choice, man, over at LA Live is where we have our local 4DX theater. If you've not seen a movie in the 4DX experience, oh my God, what are you waiting for? The chair fucking moves and shit. If it rains in the movie, it rains on your face. If a motorcycle goes by, it smells like burnt rubber and shit like that. Once they get around to porn, this is going to be an incredible fucking experience. But it's really incredible right now and stuff like that. 4DX Cinema, the Deacon always gets his tickets. We thank the good folks at 4DX and Brett Deacon as well.
Yeah.
But you got something cool.
Well, also, their Regal 4DX is having a best of summer 2019 sort of run. So between August 30th and September 4th, you can see Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home Extended Edition, The Lion King, Toy Story 4, Aladdin, Hobbs and Shaw, and John Wick 3, all in fucking 4DX.
Wow.
Between those, 5 days. So if you have
your free tickets will get you in to see.
Your free tickets will get you in to see the biggest movies of the summer. If you have a kidney stone that you've been trying to get worked out, you go see John Wick, and that mother. Hey!
Yeah, wear a bra. That's all I'm gonna say. It moves you all around. My girls were hitting me in the face while I was watching Civil War and shit. All right, so that's what we got. That's what's at stake, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we're gonna be giving out. We turn to JC, the proprietor of this here establishment, and we let JC pick our victims, the people that we're speaking to.
Matt Peters, are you?
Matt
All
Peters,
right.
come on up, Matt. Welcome, Matt Peters, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
What can we do you for, Matt?
Well, thank you guys for calling me up here. I have a question for you this evening.
Fire away.
All right.
Shoot.
So my question is, you guys are 2 of my favorite podcasters.
Thank you.
Inspire me to do my own. I bought a couple of gifts for you here from Chicago. Those 2 mugs there. You each get one.
Where? Oh, I thought you were calling people those 2 mugs over there. You meant actual mugs.
It's my mug on mugs, yeah.
Lux and Matt's Excellent Adventure. That's awesome. You got your own mugs. We don't even have our own fucking mugs. You've just given us an idea we're stealing.
I got a mug guy if you're interested. So my question to you guys tonight is, since you're podcasters yourselves, if you could pick 2 fictional characters to host a podcast together, who would they be and what would they talk about?
Wow, what a great fucking question. Number 1, you're winning right away, man. Fuck. Who wants to go first?
Fuck. 2 fictional characters.
Oh, I got one. Ben Urich and the fucking other guy from Marvels. That's what the podcast is. No, we'll go deeper than that. Who would be a great listen? It's got to be somebody who's very chatty. Doctor Strange would be a great fucking host of a podcast. Never out of anything to say. We'll always have something to say. And let's be honest with you, based on the movies alone, Tony Stark would be a fascinating podcast.
Oh,
He'd
absolutely.
fucking never run out of material and shit. Those would be my 2. They don't have to talk to each other, but I would like to see that as well.
I kind of like.
Who?
He's real, though.
Adam West. Yeah. And if we're picking people who've been passed, my father. Talking about comic book characters, man.
I would like Sherlock Holmes and Columbo.
One guy always talking about his wife. The other guy always looking for a little morphine and shit.
I thought you were gonna go Doctor Strange like Mandrake the Magician or some shit.
Oh, on magic on magic.
Magic on magic.
Yeah, but magic's not really a subject for a podcast. Like magic, you got to see. Like on a podcast, you're like, I pulled a dove out of my sleeve, and people are like, well, I guess he did. I can't see it. Got to take him at his word and shit. But just like, look, like Strange knows a lot about the multiverse. God bless you. And just all the crap that's Strange. Like, think about it. Even if you weren't talking about the Ancient One or fucking the Eye of Agamotto or whatever, he could just talk about hand surgery, which would probably be interesting in and of itself and shit. Or talk about how like I was so good at it and my pride, it's gone. I can't fucking do it. You get pathos out of that. You're like this. I feel bad for this hand surgeon who's also a magician. Does that cover? I feel like we can do this for a little bit longer.
I kind of want to go.
Yeah, let's do another example. That was Marvel. Let's do DC.
Oh, I'm going bigger than that.
Masters of the Universe.
Uh-oh. There we go. There we go.
He-Man and Skeletor on a podcast.
I want to do
Skeletor and Hordak for sure.
I would like Kit and Speed Buggy to host a podcast. And it's called Talking Cars. Yeah. Just cars talking cars. Perfect. Or Speed McQueen from fucking Cars.
He can guest on the first episode.
Yes. Cars talking cars with cars. Coming soon to Netflix.
I got one. No. Jericho from the Titans and Silent Bob. Fastest podcast you ever heard.
But every episode uploads is like, it's 74 minutes long.
What could they not talk about this week? That is a great question. You win. Give it up for him, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Boom, boom.
I need a friend to have to carry all that shit.
And boom, pleasure, man. Thank you for the mug.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, right on. Okay.
And the flowers are still standing.
Where to, JC?
We have Kyle.
Hey, Kyle.
Kyle. Everyone welcome Kyle to the show.
What up, Kyle?
Hey, how you guys doing?
How are you?
Amazing.
Good. So my question is, if you guys had to lose a sense, like touch, taste, smell, hear, or see, which one would you lose to gain a superpower and why?
Which sense would I give up to gain a superpower? Excellent fucking question. All right, what are the 5 senses? Seeing, I want that. Hearing, I want that. Is talking one of them? I need that.
Taste?
Taste? I got none of that. Smell, I would like that. Touch, yeah, I want that. I'd lose taste in a fucking heartbeat, man. Because then I'd be eating vegetables left and right. Just like, what do I care? It tastes the same. To lose taste, do I get to pick my power?
Yeah, pick your power. Yeah.
I'm giving up taste forever. I should get something good. What do I want? This sounds fucking corny, but peacekeeping powers. To be able to fucking walk up to somebody hostile, just do this shit. And they're like, oh my God, you just reminded me of something I did when I was a kid and I was so happy and blah, blah, blah. Send them away. That's kind of useful and shit like that. Because that means anybody attacking you and shit, you can just be like, ooh.
You just want to give like orgasm powers?
They don't need to come, Mark. Don't be silly.
I mean...
But just to be able to be like someone getting all hostile and you're like, woo, 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 woo.
Oh, like that's better.
Yeah. You just woo-woo them.
You can't be the fucking Pope of just like, Dominus Omus, go about your business. You stop all wars anyway if you do that.
I know, but you got to be realistic about it. In order to use a superpower, you have to touch a person. So fucking that's why you got to touch a person. You can't just be like, Pavidos Biscum, whatever. I tried Catholicism. That don't work. I want this fucking power, man. Right. That would make people peaceful and shit. Right. So that'd be worth giving up sense of taste for. To be able to be like, woo, 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 and take the hostile away. Oh, my fuck. I could really fix the internet.
You got to touch a lot of people, though.
I know. I'd be on a lot of fucking planes and shit.
I think I give up smell.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Why you need to be smelling shit? Most things you smell are not great. And otherwise, you're just like, oh, I didn't notice that. And then you notice it, and it's never good.
Fair point, man. All right, you're giving up smell. What are you going to
Giving up
get?
smell.
If you give up smell, I believe you give up taste, don't you? Aren't they connected?
They're connected, but not entirely. Like,
Okay.
you know, if you have a cold, you can still kind of taste what you're eating.
Yeah.
Part of me wants you to just fucking give out orgasms, but that, I feel like I could run for, like, office with that shit.
Yeah.
What's
you
your
can make
platform,
somebody
sir?
fucking bust a nut
Yes.
just by looking at them like, whoop, 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 whoop. I'd really take the fight out of people and shit. You piece of shit. Whoop, 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 whoop.
Oh, you're my favorite.
People would be coming up to me yelling shit knowing I'd make them come.
Yeah.
I hate you, Kev. Thank you, Kev.
I think I go teleportation. I think I do that one. Because
Where are you going?
it's not even so much that I'm going. It's like flight seems like you're still fucking commuting. Like there's still time you got to spend in the air. Like there's still like, I got to know where I'm going. I got to relearn how to fucking get places in the air without roads. And if you're following the roads, then you're just taking too much fucking time. But teleporting, you're like, bam, hey, look where I am. At work. Because I still have to work. Because it's only fucking teleportation. Because I can open a church if I can make people fucking come all the time. What?
I love it. My thing's like, I'd like to make people less hostile. And you're like, I want to get to work faster. That was a great question. A great question deserves a great prize package. Give it up for him, ladies and gentlemen. That is you. That is you. That is you. And these 40X tickets are you. Congrats, man.
Luis
Goddamn
Sayo?
pleasure.
Good to meet you, Kyle.
Who is it?
Luis.
Luis. Join us, Luis. Give it up for Luis, ladies and gentlemen.
Are we both signing this?
Hi, good evening. Huge fans.
Okay.
Thank you very much for taking my question. My question was, I'm freezing. I'm in front of you guys. I'm so
Oh my
sorry.
God! Don't freeze at all, man.
I'm sorry.
Who gave me this? Hold on. Who gave me this? And I get to keep this? Not for him, for me? Fuck you, Mark.
Never for me.
Just wanted to make sure it was for him and
That's
me,
fair.
not him. And then hold on one more time. This is Two Blunt Man from Stoned Ninja. Stone Ninja, who's responsible for this? That's you? Yeah. What is this? Self-published?
Yes, we're self-publishing. It's a comic book about a ninja that smokes a mystical strain of weed that gives him superpowers.
Why the fuck didn't I think of this?
I mean,
You know, all those people that are like, oh, it's He-Man. They're going to sit around smoking weed. I should have thought of this, but what a good fucking idea. Where can they get it?
well, currently, if you're in LA, there's a handful of copies at Golden Apple, and they said to say hi.
Oh, we love the good
Yeah.
folks at Golden Apple.
And,
Ryan and friends.
You can go to stoned.ninja and see all of our cool merch. We got T-shirts, hats, rolling papers, and I mean,
That fucking makes sense.
doesn't it?
Speaking his language.
I know.
As soon as I can, we're based out of Memphis, Tennessee, and I work with a wonderful artist, Greg Cravens. As soon as we can, we're going to stuff those rolling papers full of fun stuff, and then you can get them in all your dispensaries too. So,
Oh, that's a good idea right
I'm
there.
trying.
Man. I like comics, but I love weed.
yeah, right. It's good stuff.
Give it up for him, ladies and gentlemen. He
Thank you.
created a thing.
Sorry, Luis.
Sorry
What's
about
up?
that. Back
No
to
worries,
you,
of
Luis.
course.
Now all of your nerves should go away, right?
Not quite, but we're getting there. Thank you so much.
I tried.
First off, thank you so much for being an inspiration. I'm here with my crew. We have a podcast. You're pinned.
Hold on. You got to do this properly.
Sure.
What is the podcast called?
The podcast is called Two Fanboys and a Filthy Casual.
Nice. Who's
Yeah.
the filthy casual?
Those are the fanboys. I'm typically the Filthy Casual. We talk lots of we get shirts.
That's the shirt.
We have our 100th episode coming up, so we were inspired by all of your dialogue about creating in a world full of ill will and destruction. You guys are championing creation, and we are here. We want to make people happy. So thank you so much for all of your contribution and all of your
Thank you,
support.
man. That means
You
the
guys
world,
are-
Luis. Thank you.
Speaking of creating, so this is my question. So congratulations on the Masters of the Universe gig. Awesome stuff.
Thank you.
Which Masters of the Universe character do you relate most to, and why?
Fuck, this is very easy for me to answer at this point. Orko. Orko, I fuck up all the time. And I'm always doing it with a good intention. Like, this will help. And then I put somebody in an airless bubble that chokes them to death. So yeah, Orko is the one. I mean, look, Orko, I think, was the way in for most kids in the cartoon because we couldn't all be He-Man. You aspire to that, but you can, be the person that has the high-pitched voice who they're always like, oh, Orko. So yeah, Orko I identify with.
Part of me wants to say...
After tonight, I say Evelyn for you. So sassy.
Like sometimes it's Tila because I feel pretty.
And strong. Fuck.
And strong. I think it's Cringer. I think it's a little bit Cringer because there's enough to be afraid of in the world. There's enough to sort of keep you in your little tiny like fear shell. But when the time comes and when the dude hits you with the fucking sword and says the words, you do what you got to get done. But yeah, and it's also not. There's nothing wrong with being afraid. Like fear is just another form of energy, and all energy is good energy. And if you can channel it, and if you can fucking direct it, and you can sort of wield it, then it is as good as any other energy. So yeah, there's, and it's a thing that it's talking to kids, talking to occasionally my kids about it. It's like, hey, it's cool to be afraid. We're all afraid. It's what you do when you're afraid that matters, because it's easy to do the shit that you want to do when you're brave. Like a pussy make you brave. But
Is that from Masters of the Universe?
It will be. I'm gonna send you episode 103 tomorrow.
Mark, we have to cut this line.
Yeah. No, but like it's just being afraid is not the worst thing in the world. So yeah, Cringer, I think. And he has an awesome fucking but don't ride me. I don't want to be ridden even when I get big and strong. I'm not about that.
You're still a top.
I'm still a top. I'm not a sloppy party Cringer.
I think let me see, if it wasn't Orko, who I would like to be is I don't go for the main guy and shit like that because I look terrible in a loincloth. But Man-at-Arms wears a lot of clothes. That's my kind of guy, and he's a fucking technically like just a killer. Like he's a badass, like a mechanical genius, a fucking war expert and shit like that. In the original series, he was usually the guy delivering the moral at the end. But our version, like he's that, but he's also Man-at-Arms. He lives up to his fucking title. So he's a kind of badass. So if I was to choose anybody I would aspire to be, it would be that dude. He's got fucking wrist lasers, for heaven's sakes.
Always cool.
Yeah, always very cool.
That's all I got, man.
There it is. Great question. It deserves a prize. Give it up for him, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. This, and this is all you. Well done, man. What is the podcast called again?
Two Fanboys and a Filthy Casual.
Two Fanboys and a Filthy Casual.
Google, iTunes, Mixcloud.
There it is. Well done. That's how you mark it right there. What is this? Somebody put this up here. The rematch of the decade, Stairmaster. Who's responsible for this? Anybody? You were?
You were?
Come on up and talk about this real quick before we get out of here. Da-da-da. What's your name, man?
My name is Sean.
Sean, everyone give it up for Sean.
Hello.
Tell him what Stairmaster is, Sean. I did a piece for this years and years ago. Tell him what Stairmaster is.
The Stairmaster project is, we essentially magnify the playground pastime of staring contests to just absurd proportions. We've
Tell him what the staring contest is.
There's cameras close up on two competitors' eyes, and you just stare at each other for as long as possible without blinking. And when somebody blinks, in the States, a whistle's blown and an arm is raised, and you move on to the next round. in Japan, where the World Championships will be held next year in 2020. There's also a little electronic shock device. So when you blink, you get
excellent. Excellent. Are you kidding me? All right. So for those of you who are like, what? They have staring contests, and here in the States, you lose when you blink, but overseas they kill you if you blink. Apparently. But you guys are working on a flick documentary.
Yeah, we were doing
called Stairmaster.
Yeah.
So not Stairmaster, but Stairmaster.
Exactly. Yeah. And just finished that, and I was coming by to see if, or just let you know that we're taking that to the next level.
What is the next level? Now, when you say you finished it, did you finish shooting?
Just finished a rough cut of a documentary, Stairmaster 2, making a big deal about nothing.
Nice.
And then Stairmaster 2020, World Domination, happens in Japan next year.
And so are you going to shoot that for the current Stairmaster documentary, or is that a second one?
No, there was a trilogy. The original was in 2002. So all of that footage has actually been collected and redigitized, so we could re-edit maybe for like a smaller screen into a longer series of 10-minute clips.
Fucking A.
Is kind of what I'm doing right now. And that series will play out through this next year, whatever happens in 2020. But with money and making a big deal out of nothing, it could, the absurd could, yeah, I don't know. We'll see how far
could blow it up. Where can people support it? How do they support it? Where do they find it?
They don't yet, but we're submitting it to South by Southwest and other film festivals this year, or this month actually. So
fucking A, man.
Hopefully
Congrats,
soon.
dude. Right on. It's fucking fun idea. It's good shit. Well, geez, man, that's all the show we got for you, and there was a lot of fucking show. There's a lot of stuff to think about and stuff to rejoice and something to be fucking afraid about as well. I'm sure they'll work it out or whatnot, but fuck, there's a lot of content. I'm out of breath. Ladies and gentlemen, did you have a good time this evening? I cannot thank you enough for coming out and joining us, man, but we got no show without the guy standing next to me. Give it up for Mr. Mark Bernardin. Huzzah! And that is Fat Man Beyond for this week. Sorry. I'm Kevin Smith.
I am Mark Bernard.
Tune in next time. Same fat time. Same fat channel. Smodcast.com or
YouTube.com/Kevin Smith.
By the power of Grayskull. Good night, everybody.